War. Well, war never changes, but I bet your Uber rating definitely will if you show up in a Corvega Cherry Bomb. The Fallout universe is packed with rusted wrecks, flying death machines, and the occasional car that looks like it was designed by someone who had never even seen a car before. And today, we're ranking every single one of them. From the slick, nuclear-powered muscle cars of pre-war suburbia to the Brotherhood of Steel's favorite airborne noise complaint. The mighty Vertibird, of course. We're breaking down the good, the bad, and the why does that even exist? Some of these vehicles are iconic. Some are almost practical. Most are completely undriveable. But that's never stopped anyone in the wasteland before, and it's not stopping us now. Howdy, I'm Spydingo, and this is the ultimate Fallout vehicle tier list. Here we will take a look at no less than 100 vehicles from the Fallout universe in a mostly random order. So buckle up, Buttercup, and let's get into it. Alright, we're not starting off with some random rust bucket. Oh no. We're kicking off this list in style with the one that started it all. The OG, the legend, the Chrysalis Patton, aka that ridiculously bulky tank from Fallout 4 and 76. If you haven't seen my remade deep dive on it, I highly recommend checking it out. I poured a ridiculous amount of TLC into that video, like unhealthy amounts. Now let's be real, the Patton is not winning any awards for battlefield performance. It's rocking two big ol' guns on a turret that probably couldn't even do a full spin at a birthday party, maybe a max of 180 degrees. No machine guns, and no secondary weapons at all, in fact. It's got split tracks, which sounds cool in theory, but in practice, it's kind of like putting square wheels on your car because you think they look futuristic. Plus, the whole thing's riveted together, which tank designers ditched decades ago for a reason. And it's got more shot traps than a Raider ambush. Basically, every part of this thing just screams, please shoot me and I'll take care of the rest. But, despite all of that, I kind of love it. The design, weirdly charming, and sentimentally, this tank was the launch pad for this channel. So yeah, functionally, it's a disaster, no doubt. But emotionally, it's an A-tier beauty in my heart, so against all logic, the Patton gets the glow-up treatment and gets A-tier. Wow, okay, starting off the RNG strong with, well, the fishing boat. Yep, the fishing trawler. Honestly, this might be a vehicle I've thought the least about in the entire Fallout universe. Like, it exists. That's about it. You'll spot these bad boys scattered around Boston just hanging out. They've got spare tires tied to their sides because, hey, nothing says advanced maritime engineering like repurposed Goodyears. And there's a winch, presumably for dragging in nets full of irradiated tuna, mutant dolphins, angry mirelurks, or you know, a casual kraken or two. Is it cool? Not really. Is it terrible? Also not really. It just kind of is. Like background vibes for your apocalypse. So, for being aggressively average, the fishing boat is getting a very comfortable, very unremarkable spot in C tier. Let's move on to something with a bit more giddy-up buttercups. Or really any buttercups, to be honest. Well, look who decided to show up. The humble tractor. Another vehicle I've barely spared a thought for. But you know what? Unlike the fishing boat, this one's actually got some personality. First off, it's red. Bright red. And yeah, I'm totally biased because red just so happens to be my favorite color. That alone already bumped it up a few mental notches. I mean, can you even get a speeding ticket in a tractor? I'd like to find out. Probably not. But then again, if you're in the NCR, they might find a way to write you up for something. Illegal plowing without a permit? Or some other bureaucratic nonsense? Almost certainly. NCR nonsense aside, the tractor's rocking a classic four-wheel setup, and the front suspension has this funky, almost cartoonish tilt to it that gives it some real charm. The body? Full of character, exposed engine bits, a grill that says don't mess with me, and those bug-eyed headlights that look like they're always slightly confused. I love it. Now the seat? Yikes. Looks like the kind of thing they stole from a middle school cafeteria swivel chair. Zero comfort, full spinal regret. But hey, this thing even comes with functional attachments, like it was meant to, I don't know, work, not just sit there and look post-apocalyptically pretty. All in all, I'm tossing this bad boy into A tier. It's weird, it's charming, and it fits the Fallout vibe way better than it has any right to. Oh, nice. Up next, we've got a real unit from Fallout New Vegas, the Dragline. Yeah, that giant hunk of mining machinery chilling in Sloan Quarry, usually hanging out in the middle of what can only be described as Deathclaw Disneyland. You've probably seen it towering over the landscape like a rusted-out transformer that gave up on life. And hey, credit where it's due, it's way more memorable than, say, a fishing boat. Mostly because it's impressively large and sits there in the middle of a, oh, look, my limbs are gone territory. That's not really enough to give it higher than C tier though, so that's where it will go. Alright, up next we've got the good old truck, the true background actor of the Fallout universe. This thing is everywhere. If you've played any Bethesda-era Fallout game, you've definitely seen it, blown it up, or used it for cover during a shootout and then got blown up. Probably all three. It's got that classic cab-over-engine design, two massive bug-eye headlights, and rolls around on 3 axles like it means business. There are 2 main flavors, the semi-trailer version and the flatbed. But the real MVP, that iconic military flatbed version. Olive drab paint, US military markings, it's a chef's kiss design. And I gotta say, I do love its general overall retro futuristic flair, especially the weird little wings on top and its bubbly 50 curves. It's got charm, no doubt. But let's be real, it's not blowing any minds. It's solid, it's dependable, it's got some great design cues, but it's not exactly out there redefining what a vehicle can be. So with love and respect, the humble truck lands squarely in B tier for me. Oh, interesting. Next up, we've got the dirt bike from Fallout 76. Now, quick side tangent. Yeah, I played 76 at launch, and no, I wasn't one of the haters. I actually had a great time. It dropped in November, and back then we had this thing at work called War Rooms for Black Friday prep, which for me translated to log into the Teams call, mute my mic, and spend the entire day wandering Appalachia with one eye on the Slack notifications. Absolute bliss. But you know what? Despite all those hours, I barely remember seeing this dirt bike, which makes sense, honestly. It's tiny, unassuming, and kind of easy to miss unless you're specifically looking for it. Design-wise, it's got some interesting quirks. The front fender looks like it belongs on a monster truck instead of a bike this size, and the exhaust, well, that's weirdly stabby. But I do gotta give props for the texture work. This model looks properly rusted, which is more than I can say for a lot of Fallout 4's vehicle models. Fallout 3 and New Vegas were all about that rust life. Fallout 4, not so much. It's nice to see a bike that looks like it's actually been through the apocalypse. Fender aside, I genuinely dig the design. It's scrappy, weird, and feels like someone actually tried something new. So I'm putting it in B tier, right next to the truck. Solid design, nothing groundbreaking, but it's got heart. Alright, next up is the Zip mini car, and no, this isn't the Fusion Fleet, though I don't blame you if you mix them up. They both look like someone shrunk a 50s concept car in the wash. But the Zip is just a bit less mini, if that makes sense. It's like the Flea's slightly taller, equally confused cousin. The Zip's biggest flex is that giant bubble canopy, which sounds cool until you realize half the view is blocked by the dashboard and steering column anyways. It's like, hey, enjoy your panoramic view of, well, your own interior. Bold move. Also, this thing doesn't really have doors, it has hatches. The kind of hatches you'd expect to see on a fighter jet or an escape pod, something you would probably want if you were driving a Zip. Just like the Flea, the Zip rocks 3 wheels and what I can only assume is the world's most underwhelming engine tucked into the back. Up front, it's got those bug-eyed headlights and what look like twin jet intake manifolds for raisins. Honestly, those intakes and those little dorsal fin on top, it kinda looks like someone tried to turn a goldfish into a vehicle. A goldfish that dreams of flying but got stuck in traffic. I don't love it and I don't hate it, but I respect the weirdness. It tried something, so the Zip earns itself a solid B tier in my book. Weird, quirky, and kind of adorable in a what is this thing even doing sort of way. Rolling in next to the party, fashionably late and incredibly confusing, we've got the Coupe from Fallout 3 and New Vegas. This thing is rare. Like, you'll see a Deathclaw in a tutu before you see this thing twice, kind of rare. And honestly, it looks like it's been through several apocalypses, not just one. Design-wise, it's a bit of a puzzle. I had to stare at this thing for a solid minute before I figured which end is the front and which one's the back. If it weren't for the fins in the back and the dash that vaguely resembles a dashboard, I'd still be guessing. And even then, I'm not entirely confident. Where's the engine? Is it in the front? Maybe. Could be. But the back's got this huge open area that definitely looks like it's up to something. Best guess? Maybe it's rocking 2 engines, one in the front, one in the back, because, well, why not? That might explain the 3 axles and 6 wheels, which is usually a sign your car either hauls freight or hauls serious speed, though this thing looks like it hauls a midlife crisis. It kind of feels like a Frankenstein's monster of 60s car design. Like someone slammed a muscle car, a jet, and a refrigerator together and hoped for the best. I do dig the pinstriping though, classy touch. The chrome though, yeah, someone got way too excited. Honestly, I'd love to see the sales pitch for this thing. Is it fast? Certainly. Is it stylish? Debatably. Is it practical? Adam, no. Who is this car for? Like, who looked at it and said, yes, this is the one? So yeah, the more I think about it, the more my brain starts buffering. I started out kind of liking the coupe, but now I'm just confused. And I don't like being confused. So despite the effort and weird style, I'm dropping it into D tier. Sorry coupe, but I need sanity. Blasting off into the stratosphere courtesy of the RNG gods, we've got the REPCONN Rocket up next. And look, I'll be honest, this thing looks less like a cutting-edge space vehicle and more like a toy you'd find in a 1950s cereal box. It's got all the classic rockety features, 3 big ol' stabilization fins, 6 little viewports that I hope aren't just for show, and an underslung door that screams, awkward boarding process, and a bright red nose cone that is basically saying, look ma, I'm a rocket. Oh, and there's a massive lightning bolt running down the side for no clear reason. Like, a cool design choice I guess, but last I checked, REPCONN's branding wasn't really about lightning bolts. It's kind of like NASA just randomly slapped a skull and crossbones on one of their shuttles. I'm not against it, it just feels like someone got a little overzealous with the decals. Honestly though, I don't have a ton to say about this one. It's there, it's a rocket, it's fine. Doesn't really feel like the devs poured a ton of love into this one, but hey, I get it. New Vegas was basically made on speedrun mode, so sometimes you gotta keep it simple. So yeah, the REPCONN Rocket isn't bad, but it's not exactly shooting for the stars either, ironically. It stands comfortably in C tier, basic, functional, and just a little bit confused about its own branding. Oh boy, rolling in at about 3 miles per hour, it's the golf cart, as seen in Fallout New Vegas and 76. And yeah, I don't like either of them. Not even a little. Both of these bad boys rock a tri-wheel setup, 1 sad little tire up front and 2 in the back, plus a single row of seating. The New Vegas version in particular looks less like a golf cart and more like a tractor that made questionable life choices. It's boxy, clunky, and has a roof made of what appears to be a repurposed beach umbrella. And let's be real, if you've got enough caps to be playing golf in the Fallout universe, there's no way, absolutely no way you're pulling up in this thing. No club holders, no storage, just you, your janky cart, and your dignity slowly leaking out the back. Now the Fallout 76 version, well, it's slightly better, I'll admit. It's got an actual roof that looks like it wouldn't collapse in a light breeze, and it does have club holders, so at least it understands the assignment. But that steering column looks like it was welded on during someone's lunch break. If I had to split hairs, I'd throw the 76 version in D tier and the New Vegas one in F. But honestly, I hate the New Vegas cart so much it's dragging the whole category down with it. F tier it is, no regrets. Revving up next on the starting line is the Corvega Atomic V8. And hey, if it looks familiar, that's because it kinda is. To me, it's basically the coupe's slightly more reasonable sibling. Like, take away an axle, lose a couple of wheels, and suddenly we've got something that vaguely resembles a functional car. Now, the Atomic V8 is actually kind of grounded in reality. Shocking, I know. It's got normal sedan seating for up to 5 Wastelanders, and unlike the coupe, it's pretty obvious where things go. Engine, front, trunk, back. Revolutionary, I know. There's a front grill that clearly exists to cool something down, and big ol' hinges on the rear that all but shout, hey, I'm a trunk. From a design logic standpoint, this car actually makes sense, and I really appreciate that. But let's talk about the style, because it's a bit of a mixed bag. The pinstripes? Classy. The chrome? Tastefully restrained. Rear fins? A+ retro vibes. But then we've got these weird warhead-shaped domes sticking out of the fenders and headlights, like the car's trying to cosplay as a missile, and I have no idea why. Oh, and those massive dorsal fins slicing through the roofline? Cool in theory, terrible in practice. Visibility out of the driver's seat has to be absolute garbage. All in all, the Atomic V8 is certainly a mixed bag, but a functional and respectable one. She earns herself a solid spot in B tier, stylish-ish, sensible-ish, and just Fallout-y enough to make it work. Finally, another vehicle I've actually done a deep dive on. Rolling into the station, we've got the absolute unit that is the thick boy locomotive from Fallout 4 and 76. This beast is huge, like make a Deathclaw feel insecure huge, and it's always a standout when you stumble across it in the wasteland, at least to me. Honestly, I gotta give props where they're due. The detailing on this thing is wild. Rivets, rails, random machinery bits, it's like a model train builder's fever dream. But yeah, is it flawed? Oh, absolutely. First off, it doesn't have any coupling gear in the back, which kinda defeats the purpose of, I don't know, being a train engine, right? Like, it's not pulling anything unless it's doing so through sheer intimidation factor. And don't even get me started on the height. This thing is way too tall to clear any of the overhead bridges scattered across the Commonwealth or Appalachia. It's like Bethesda made this monster and then forgot trains have to go under things sometimes. Also, based on its top-heavy design, a strong gust of wind or a slightly enthusiastic turn would absolutely tip this thing over like a drunken super mutant. But despite all that, I love it. From the massive Brahmin guard to the tiny engineer's cabin, the thick boy just makes me irrationally happy. So yeah, I'm tossing this beautiful disaster into S tier. I know that's gonna send some of you spiraling in the comments, and honestly, I can't wait. Flame me with those train facts, I welcome it. Just remember, it's my list and this train is going full steam ahead. Adam has spoken, and today's offering is the Forklift from Fallout 4. Yep, buckle up folks, we're entering peak warehouse lore here. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised we didn't see this thing show up in Fallout 3 or New Vegas earlier, considering how many warehouses, shipping yards, and random industrial zones those games throw at you. But nope, forklifts apparently just poofed into existence around the Commonwealth and Appalachia areas. Now, if you're hoping the forklift comes with some wild retro-futuristic flair or hidden death lasers, I'm here to disappoint. It's just a forklift, like a regular old three-wheeled unit you'd see clinging to the back of a Home Depot delivery flatbed. It does exactly what it looks like it says it does on the tin. Do I have strong feelings about it? Nope. Not love, not hate, just pure, unflavored, lukewarm, purified water energy. So into C tier it goes. Functional, forgettable, forklift. Pull over, sirens are blaring, we've got company. That's right, next up is the highway patrol car from Fallout New Vegas. Back when society hadn't completely face-planted, this bad boy patrolled the highways of Nevada and California. Design-wise, it's basically your classic 1960s cop cruiser cosplay. Black and white paint? Check. Twin lights strapped to the roof like a budget Ghostbusters rig? Check. Crown Vic vibes? Oh yeah, baby. But wait, what's that? Oh, just a casual turbine-looking engine mounted smack on the booty of this car. Because why not? And speaking of weird details, I also find it mildly interesting that the patrol car is the only vehicle so far that doesn't feature any of its wheels actually being on an axle. Wonder why the passage of time affected this vehicle differently from all the others. Bethesda raisins, I suppose. I was torn between C and B tier for this one, but I'm gonna bump it up to B tier just because the pre-war concept art makes it look surprisingly clean. Do you remember World War II? No doubt, and apparently someone at Bethesda does as well, because this next ride screams cruising through France energy. Yep, it's the off-road vehicle from Fallout 76, also known as Fallout's Jeep, but legally distinct enough not to get sued. It doesn't actually have a name in-game, which is kind of a bummer. Just off-road vehicle. Like, come on, at least give it something cool like the Rad Wrangler or Wasteland Rover. Missed opportunity for sure. To be fair, if I was doing a deep dive on this thing, I probably could dig up some neat World War II references or real-world inspirations that's a little deeper than just a Jeep. Maybe there's a whole history lesson buried in the design. But let's be honest, we're judging this thing by vibes right now, and the vibes are functional, but kind of a snooze fest. So yeah, the Jeep that shall not be named goes in the C tier. It works, it drives, well, probably did at least, but is not winning any Miss Atomic pageants anytime soon. Ah yes, up next we've got a real throwback, a purely historical vehicle straight out of Fallout New Vegas. the B-29, also known as the Lady of the Lake herself. And let me tell you, this isn't just a cool old plane sitting in a puddle. It's the centerpiece of one of the most memorable quests in the game. Plus, it introduced one of the most underrated items in the entire game, the rebreather. Finally, a way to live out your best Argonian in the Wasteland fantasy. Breathe underwater? Check. Look cool doing it? Also check. And can we just talk about how rare it is for Bethesda to actually do anything in water spaces? Normally, the ocean or lake is just a big ol' radioactive shrug. But not here. Thank you, Obsidian. This was one of those rare times the water actually mattered, and no, I still haven't forgiven Fallout 4 for promising a sea monster and giving us nothing. Give me the Kraken. Anyway, while the quest is a 10 out of 10, the plane itself is just a regular old B-29. No crazy retro-futuristic touches, no fusion-powered nonsense, just history doing history. So for that reason, I'm sticking it in the B tier. But shout out to the boomers for making it awesome. Keep on booming, you boomers. Alright, so real talk. I know about Fallout Tactics, but I've never actually played it. I know, missed opportunity, especially when you consider it's one of the few Fallout games where you can actually drive vehicles. Wild concept, right? In today's ride, the big boy on the block, the Brotherhood APC. This boxy beast was cooked up by the Brotherhood of Steel themselves. It's a heavily armored personnel carrier rocking twin treads and some serious off-road chops. Functionally, it's a tanky workhorse meant to ferry your squad around while looking like it could roll straight through a wall, and then reverse through it just for fun. Hold my beer, Kool-Aid man. Now, fun fact, this thing apparently looks a whole lot like the, oh boy, I'm gonna butcher this, Rappenschlepper, a German military tractor from World War II. Not a shocker really, considering Fallout Tactics also throws a literal Sherman Tank at you, so why reinvent the wheel when you can just slap on some Brotherhood logos and call it a day apparently. Aesthetically though, yeah, I'm not sold. It's basically a big gray box on treads. Not the worst defense in the world, but the kicker? The engine's just chilling out on the front, fully exposed, like you'd expect on an Only Fools account. You're telling me the Brotherhood of Steel, tech-hoarding geniuses, built an armored transport and then left the engine hanging out like a giant "please shoot here" sticker? Bold move, guys. So yeah, while I appreciate the concept, the execution drags it down for me. Big old D-tier energy for the Brotherhood APC. Sorry, not sorry. Alright, buckle up and keep your tinfoil hats handy because coming in hot from the stars above, we've got the Zetan UFO from Fallout 4. And yes, before anyone says anything, I am separating it from the Fallout 3 version. They're different enough to deserve their own spotlight, and let's be real, I love an excuse to talk about alien tech. Also, quick shameless plug, I actually did a full deep dive video on this exact craft, and I gotta say, I'm still pretty proud of that one. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out after this. You know, for science. Now, I'm a big fan of the Fallout UFO's design. It's got this really cool detailed construction with paneling, rivets all over the top and underside. And here's what gets me. The underside, you can only see it during the crash cutscene after level 20 for like that 10 seconds. Probably more like 2 seconds it goes over your head. Once that bad boy smacks into the Boston dirt and goes full bonfire, that underside is gone forever. So the fact they actually detail it so well, chef's kiss. The saucer section is classic and sleek, but what really gets me hyped is the fuselage. It's got multiple viewports, a bubble canopy that gives me a serious B-29 bomber vibes, and has a skylight. A dang skylight. Also, the tail end has that distinctly Zetan flair, like they glued on a hyperdrive and called it a day. And honestly, I'm down with it. So yeah, between the clean design, the hidden details, and that sweet alien aesthetic, I'm putting the Fallout UFO solidly in A tier. High marks for me, and I'm not even being mind controlled. At least I think. Alright, this next one is, well, unexpected. Gliding in from the annals of history, we've got Orville and Wilbur Wright's Flyer, making a cameo appearance in the Museum of Technology in Fallout 3. Yeah, that Wright Flyer, the one that literally kicked off the age of aviation. So, you know, no big deal or anything. Now don't get me wrong, huge respect to the OG flying machine. The real-life version, S tier all day long. I mean, it's the reason we've got jets, space shuttles, and those weird guys in squirrel suits, maybe. But in Fallout 3, not so much. The poor thing looks like someone tried to launch it into a brick wall and then left it to rot for 200 years. Crushed wings, splintered frame, it's like a sad museum diorama of what once was. Still, I think it's super cool they included it at all, even if it's more of a nostalgia nod than a jaw dropper. So for being a nice historical Easter egg, but not exactly blowing me away in the wasteland, B tier, you did good, Wright Flyer. Just maybe not great in this context. Okay, real talk. Did you know the Fallout universe has 2 different models of street sweepers? Yeah, me neither. Turns out, tucked away in the dust and debris of the wasteland, we've got not 1, but 2 of these little guys rolling around in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Now, at first glance, they're pretty much twins. Both rock 2 big wheels up front, 2 little ones in the back, although in the Fallout 3 version, those rear wheels mysteriously have vanished. Maybe they were stolen, or perhaps maybe they never existed. Who knows? Bethesda reasons to be sure. You've also got this chunky hose snaking from one side to the other, and that unmistakable hammerhead-style snorkel on the front, which I guess is supposed to help with street cleaning? Kinda looks like it's trying to sniff the pavement, if you ask me. Both models feature an open-air cabin setup, like a riding lawnmower. That said, the Fallout 4 version is definitely the comfier ride, with a padded seat, shock absorption, and probably doesn't leave you needing a stim pack to the spine after 15 minutes of sweeping. The Fallout 3 one, that seat looks like it was designed by someone who hates you and is more than a little sadistic. Now the hose, I don't actually know what that's supposed to do. In Fallout 4, it's just chilling there, strapped on like a cosplay accessory. At least in Fallout 3, it had a valve on it, and so maybe it had some reasons to exist. Honestly, neither one of these looks like it could actually clean anything, and yet here I am, weirdly impressed that I've got this much to say about a street sweeper. So for that alone, I'm giving this thing a B tier. Shocked? Yeah, me too. I'll try to clean up my act. Alright, this next one's a bit of a head scratcher. I remember stumbling across this little biplane in Fallout 76 and thinking, wait, what is this doing here? Meet the PT-00D, which sounds like a serial number you'd slap on a toaster, but nope is the official name of this surprisingly quaint piece of aviation. This thing looks like it was yanked straight out of post-World War II farm and dropped into Appalachia. I mean, it's basically a one-to-one with the Boeing Stearman Model 75, which was a real-world training aircraft used way back in the day until the end of World War II. It's fueled by old-school aviation gasoline, none of that fancy atomic magic we usually see in Fallout, and it's rocking a max takeoff weight of only 400 pounds. That's like 2 power armor frames and a dream maybe. Now, it does have a pretty sweet paint job admittedly, sporting the US rondelles on the wings and some patriotic stripes on the tail. And listen, I do like the model. It's clean, nostalgic, and nicely detailed, but it feels weirdly out of place in Fallout, especially after New Vegas, when the series really leaned hard into that atomic punk vibe. This thing feels more like a history museum exhibit than a wasteland-ready aircraft. That said, I've got a soft spot for anything with wings, so I'm going to go ahead and give the PT-00D a B tier. But I'll be honest, if I wasn't such an aviation nerd, this probably would have landed squarely in C. Remember when I mentioned a Kraken earlier? Yeah, it's finally time. Let's talk about the Yanksa, the pride of communist engineering. Beached like a sad metal whale in Boston Harbor, and supposedly the vehicle that was going to take us on an undersea adventure to fight a dang Kraken. Yes, really, that was supposed to happen. And the submarine is actually shaped like a squid. The waste potential is almost too much to bear, but honestly, I love this thing. The Yanksa is without a doubt one of the coolest exploration finds in Fallout 4. It totally caught me off guard when I first stumbled upon it, and it's struck me ever since. I'll keep it brief here, with another plug. I've done a deep dive, pun fully intended, on the Yanksa in a separate video, so check that out if you want all the nerdy details. Quick recap though, it's a nearly derelict, nuclear-powered ballistic sub operated by the People's Liberation Army Navy. It's got 6 dorsal launch tubes, bow torpedo launchers, and even stealth tech. You can explore the whole interior too, which is awesome. And get this, it's powered by 4 screws, 3 big ones up front and 1 lonely little auxiliary screw tucked way away near the rudder. Oh, and when you look at this thing from above, full-on squid mode. It's literally a cephalopod turned into a submarine, and I'm 100% here for that. This is an easy S-tier pick, no doubt. Alright, rolling on to the scene next is a vehicle type I literally see every day here in Texas. The pickup truck from Fallout New Vegas. And just to be clear, this is not the pick-R-up truck from Fallout 4 and beyond. No, this one's a little more humble. It's basically your classic 1960s workhorse truck, But of course, in true Fallout fashion, they slapped the jet intake right on top of the hood because, you know, why not? And take a look at the sides, you'll spot what look to be gas cans, but I'm pretty sure those were actually meant to be coolant containers or something. I mean, I hope they're not just fuel tanks strapped on the outside. Beyond that though, there's really not a lot to write home about here. It's a simple, utilitarian vehicle and it gets the post-apocalyptic job done, I suppose. A solid, middle-of-the-road C tier, just a good old wasteland truck, 5 out of 10, no more, no less. Alright, now we're talking. It really doesn't get much more iconic or Fallout than this bad boy. Power armor. I mean, come on, this stuff is the crown jewel of post-apocalyptic fashion. And for this list, I'm ranking power armor as a whole, just the concept of it, rather than going deep into each individual model, at least yet. But hey, if you do want to see a full power armor tier list, drop a comment and let me know. I'd be more than down to do that. Now, obviously, power armor is S tier. It's what all the cool cats are strutting around in. It's basically a mech, and you know me, I'm a sucker for a good mech. Most of the designs, chef kiss. My personal favorite, the devil-horned Enclave armor from Fallout 3. The Remnants version, though, not really my style. One thing I really love is how seamlessly power armor fits into the world design, especially from 4 going forward. You'll see it integrated into other vehicles like the APCs or jammed into Vertibirds, and it just makes sense. What doesn't make sense though? Seeing a power armor station inside Slocum Joe's corporate office. Like, what were they doing in there? Developing latte-powered T-45s? But before I move on, I gotta say this. The Fallout TV show did power armor dirty. Like straight up F tier. Big ouch. But I've already ranted enough about that in the one video I've done covering that show. So quick recap. S tier for the game, F tier for Hollywood. Let's move on. Listen up, this next one isn't actually in any of the games. Nope, not Fallout 3, not New Vegas, not even 76 or 4. This beauty is strictly a concept straight from the pages of Fallout 4 art book. But honestly, I couldn't not talk about it. So let's give some love to the battleship that never was, or at least has yet to be. Now just look at this thing, it's an absolute unit. You've got 2 massive turrets, one on the bow and one on the stern, like it's ready to reenact the Battle of Midway. Then there's a spread of 3 auxiliary guns chilling on each side, plus what I'm guessing are anti-air turrets sprinkled all over the deck like angry sprinkles. And the side blister? It totally gives off Caterpillar Drive vibes, like they pulled it straight out of the Hunt for Red October. Silent but deadly. But what really gets me though is that weird, almost organic look to the hull. It's got that smooth, stealthy, alien vibe going on, like maybe this wasn't just any old battleship. Maybe this was some kind of stealth battleship, which I don't know about you, sounds insanely cool to me, if not entirely practical or maybe even useful. It's a crying shame this was never made into the actual game, because this thing screams S tier. Fingers crossed we see something like that in Fallout 5. A man can dream, right? Let me paint you a picture. What do you get when you slap a forklift onto the body of an excavator, and then throw a dash of nuclear spice on top? That's right, you end up with the Christless Megaloader, or as it's officially known, the MUVs. And let me tell you, this wild little utility vehicle is a trip. Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this bad boy is nuclear powered because, well, it's Fallout. And I'm guessing the engine is tucked somewhere underneath the driver's seat inside what looks like to be a fully rotatable, or at least semi-rotatable, forklift meets bucket lift contraption. I don't know the technical term for that setup, but hey, if it spins and lifts, I'm calling it a win. Driving one of these would definitely be an experience. Assuming, of course, you're not afraid of heights, because that bubble canopy, well, it sits way up there. And shout out to the design team here, the Megaloader doesn't just look cool, it's functional too. It even comes with swappable attachments, a classic forklift arm, or a beefy excavator bucket, and maybe more. It's like the Swiss Army knife of post-apocalyptic construction gear. Honestly, it screams Fallout in the best way. Thoughtful design, good versatility, and a little bit of, what am I even looking at? Charm. I'm giving the Megaloader a solid A tier. High marks all around. Oh boy, this is one of those vehicles that gets in the list on a technicality for sure. That's right, we're going to talk about the generic boats from the Fallout universe. We've got the unpowered mystery dinghies from Fallout 3, the humble little rowboat from Fallout 4, and the slightly more rugged metal rowboat from Fallout 76. Oh, and let's not forget the quote-unquote powered boats from New Vegas, which honestly just look like your everyday fishing boat you'd see bobbing around a dock somewhere. These things are the definition of set dressing. They're background props, pure and simple. They exist and might even float, and that's about where the excitement ends. So yeah, while they technically count as vehicles, they don't exactly rock the boat when it comes to cool factor. C tier, no question. Alright, moving on. Alright, next up from the land of Fallout tactics, we've got a vehicle that's basically the Brotherhood APC's younger, slightly sleeker cousin, the Hummer. Yep, just like the name implies, it's inspired by the real-world Humvee built by AM General, and it plays the part of your classic light, four-wheel drive military ride. Design-wise, you'll notice some serious family resemblance to the APC. I mean, the light bar looks like it got straight up copied and pastaed, and the cabin still rocks those intimidating iron slots across the windshield, because nothing says tactical like barely being able to see through your own window. But here's the twist. Unlike the APC, which decided to wear its engine block like a front-facing fanny pack, the Hummer moves it to the rear. Still exposed? Yes. But definitely a smarter move. It's like it realized, hey, maybe the part that makes me go shouldn't be the first thing to get shot. That said, a Hummer, well, is still a Hummer, and I've never really vibed with that boxy look. It's like driving a toaster with attitude. So while it's a step up from the APC, it's not exactly winning any style points from me. C tier it is. Solid, functional, but not my kind of ride. Alright, now here's a fun one for those of you who skipped out on Fallout 76, which, let's be honest, was probably a lot of you. We're talking about the haul truck, a chunky industrial beast built for heavy-duty jobs like strip mining uranium. That's right, this bad boy isn't just for looks, it's got a job to do. Now, first thing that jumps out to me, that awkward staircase slapped right on the front. It's giving serious OSHA violation waiting to happen to me. But hey, considering Bethesda didn't really figure out how to even make ladders work until Starfield, I guess we should just be grateful they didn't make us fast travel up the stairs instead. Something else that caught my eye is the way the bucket of this truck forms a kind of roof over the front platform. And at first, being uneducated like myself was like, Bethesda, what is this nonsense? But turns out that's actually a real thing in haul truck design, so props to them for sneaking in some realism. You learn something new every day. I also appreciate the sheer number of towing points on this thing. Like they knew this rig was gonna get stuck in something eventually and just prepped it for a full team of power armor bros to yank it out like a sled. But the real mystery for me, those jagged teeth on the underside of the bucket. Are they for digging? Are they for scaring off death claws? I don't know, but they're very interesting. All in all, it's a beefy, believable vehicle that feels right at home in the Fallout universe. Honestly, I'd love to turn this thing into a virtual killdozer. And if you didn't know, the killdozer was a real thing from real world, so look it up. It's wild. For me, the haul truck earns a solid B tier. Functional, rugged, and just weird enough to stand out. Oh man, I've been waiting for this one. It's my hands down favorite vehicle in the entire Fallout universe. And honestly, it is a solid case for being the most iconic ride in the whole franchise. Yep, you already know where we're going here. We're talking about the Vertibird. Now, quick poll. How many of you knew there were actually 3 different models of the Vertibird across the games? If you didn't, no worries, I've got you. I actually did a whole deep dive on this bad boy that you should totally check out, but for now, let's do the speedrun version. So first up, we've got the OG Vertibird from the classic Fallout titles. I like to call it the Proto-Bird. And let me tell you, this thing went hard on the Dragonfly vibes. It's got more rotor blades than common sense, and honestly looks like it was designed by a sci-fi loving insect enthusiast. Then when we move into Bethesda's first swing at it, the Fallout 3 era Vertibird, which I lovingly refer to as Sparks, still keeps that Dragonfly DNA, but they dialed it back quite a bit to make it more like something that could actually get off the ground without imploding. Rotor blade count? Reduced. Plausibility? Increased. Style? Chef's kiss. And then there's the most recent version, seen in Fallout 4 and the Amazon TV show. This one's what I like to call the Goldfish, because it's basically a mix of a dragonfly and a goldfish, and an Osprey helicopter, but, you know, of course. It's bulkier, chunkier, and looks like it's been beefed up to match the new power armor aesthetic. Now, if I had to pick a favorite, it's gotta be the Fallout 3 version. But, and hear me out, if we could Frankenstein the fuselage from Fallout 3 with the wings and tail from Fallout 4, that, my friends, would be the ultimate vertibird hybrid I like to call the Sparks fish. But honestly, any of these models, it doesn't really matter. Whether it's the Protobird, Sparks, or Goldfish, the Vertibird is just plain S tier. It's iconic, it's awesome, and I freaking love it. Alright, buckle up, because this next one, I really would like to make a full video on it. So hey, if that's something you'd be into, let me know down in the comments. Now, why am I so hyped up about this thing? Well, first off, it's absolutely massive. Like, not just big, we're talking. You can see it from the moon levels of big here. It's a giant set piece in Fallout 76 and honestly kinda deserves more love. And second, because these kinds of crazy industrial rigs, they're real. No joke, they exist out there in the wild just rotting away in empty fields, waiting for someone to turn them into post-apocalyptic legends. So what is it? Meet the Rockhound, the hulking, mining monstrosity perched right on top of Mount Blair. It's got this insane, climbable superstructure, a giant boom arm, and an absolutely monstrous bucket wheel just chomping away at the Earth. It's like a boss fight in vehicle form. But honestly, trying to describe this thing just doesn't do it justice, so let me stop talking for a sec and just show you this beast. Now, let's take a look at its real-world counterpart, the legendary Bagger 258. Tell me that's not epic. Rockhound, straight up S tier, no notes. From jaw-dropping to just kinda there, we're shifting gears into something a little more pedestrian. Bumper cars. Yep, those humble little rideables from Fallout 4 Nuka World and Fallout 76. And believe it or not, they're not the same model. I know, wild, right? The Fallout 4 bumper car is doing the most, really leaning into that classic car-like theme park aesthetic. It's flashy, fun, and fits the vibe of Nuka World perfectly. On the flip side, the Fallout 76 version is a bit more, let's say, modest. Looks like something you'd find at a budget-friendly family roadside carnival where the cotton candy costs less than your regrets. Both versions have the usual bumper car staples, 2 headlights, rubber bumpers, and a little tail situation on the back. Nuka World gives you a cute antenna, while 76 slaps on what I think is an exhaust pipe. Sure, why not? Honestly, I don't feel much for either of them, but if I had to pick, the 76 one looks like it might actually function, which is more than I can say for a lot of things in that game. So yeah, this one's going to go right into C tier with the rest of the it's fine crap. Paddling its way up the coast next, we've got the one, the only, the Dutchess Gambit. Be honest with me, how many of you actually remember this thing? Yeah, I thought so. The Dutchess is a rear-wheeled steamboat that proudly chugs its way from the capital wasteland to the front gates of Point Lookout, or as I like to call it, Fallout's fever dream swamp full of moonshine-chugging hillbillies and Lovecraftian horrors. Sounds like a great vacation destination, right? Now look, as far as visuals go, Tobar's pride and joy isn't exactly turning heads. 1 paddle wheel, 3 smokestacks, a boiler, a small guest cabin, and a pilot house with a second floor for those scenic views of, irradiated decay. It's quaint. Also, the Dutchess doesn't rock any atomic age flair. No glowing reactors, no fission-powered paddle blades, so it actually might work in the real world, but let's be honest, in the Fallout universe, that's kind of a letdown. So yeah, sorry Dutchess, but you're getting a D. Alright, let's move on to something a little more exciting. And boy howdy, exciting we have, because we're talking about the Zoomer. And no, I'm not roasting Gen Z today, I'm talking about one of the rarest, most futuristic rides in all of Fallout 76. And if you're thinking, wait, isn't Zoomer a reference to something? You're totally right, shout out to my fellow Jack and Daxter 2 fans, because yes, this bad boy gives off major Haven City hovercar vibes. But in Fallout terms, this is officially known as the Corvega flying car. And it's not your average clunker. No wheels, it's all repulsion tech. It's a sleek, floating flexmobile for the elite of the elite. We're talking the top 0.001% vibes. Supposedly, this thing can hit 200 miles per hour. That is, if you've got the right weight balance and probably a death wish. And don't even think about suing Corvega because I guarantee they slap some fine print on top of that speed stat. Aesthetically, this thing is straight up fly. Get it? You've got front-end air intakes, modern-looking headlights, which is rare in Fallout design, and what looks like a front-mounted engine, because, of course, it also has a grille right there where you'd expect one, furthering this theory. But the real showstopper, that rear. Triple fins, left, right, and dorsal, and a massive central thruster that probably does most of the heavy lifting. Or flying, I guess. Only problem? How the heck does this thing even turn? There's no visible vectoring on the thruster, so do you lean like it's a sport bike? Or is there some hidden ballast system that shifts the weight to steer? Look, I'm not convinced the designers thought that far ahead, but they did give it a tiny trunk. So, you couldn't use it, but it's there. This one's a bit of a mixed bag, to be sure. It looks awesome, the concept's cool, but in practice, it's kind of a mess. Still, I'm a sucker for hover cars, so I'll give it an A, but with some serious side-eye. You ever notice how many surface vessels are just kinda there in Fallout? I mean, aside from Rivet City, I don't think I've given any of them more than a passing glance, really. But now that I've actually taken time to look at them all together for this video, it kinda makes sense where they fade into the background. They're everywhere, copy pasted like some nautical wallpaper, share several design characteristics, and let's be real, you rarely have a reason to go swimming in the bay anyways. Which brings us to our next contender, the USS Riptide. That's right, the poor ship wedged under the drawbridge between Cambridge and downtown Boston like someone tried to Tokyo drift up the river. Bold move, Captain. Now, the Riptide and her sister ship seem to be the tugboats of the Fallout universe. You've got a moderate-sized hull, twin winches, and a big ol' smokestack puffing away in the middle. A surprisingly built-up superstructure complete with a pilot's nest. Honestly, she's fine. Not exactly a stealth destroyer or some wild sci-fi vessel, but she's not just a straight-up historical ripoff either. So for what she is, a humble, hard-working tugboat doing her best in a post-apocalyptic world, I'm giving the Riptide a solid B tier. Not flashy, but respectable. Alright, picture this. You've captured a fleet of old mining rigs and you have a war to win in the frozen hellscape that is Anchorage, and a serious grudge against the West. What do? Well, if you're the People's Liberation Army of China, you Frankenstein that mess into the Chimera, a wild screw-propelled, snow-gliding tank that somehow works way better than it has any right to. And look, I love this thing so much, I already did a deep dive video on it, so if you're hungry for more icy carnage and high-tech mayhem, definitely give it a watch. But here's the quick breakdown. The Chimera's chassis is basically a mining vehicle, which is why it uses that funky screw drive system to plow through Alaska's snow like it's butter. Slap a super high-tech turret on top, complete with a Gatling laser straight out of your nightmares, and boom, you've got yourself a tank built for Red Dawn on ice. But here's the kicker. The Chimera is technically actually a robot. That's right, no human driver inside, just cold, heartless AI doing its thing. Until, of course, some sneaky vault dweller with a high robotic skill shows up and just turns her off like a lamp. Rest in peace. So yeah, the Chimera, I dig it. Not quite S tier, but with a few of my own upgrades, well, maybe it could be. As is though, A tier all the way. Alright, coming back down to Earth after a vehicle as cool as the Chimera, we hit, well, kind of the complete opposite. Brace yourself, folks, because it's time to talk about a ship so forgettable I had to double check it even existed. The USS Ozmandias. Now, to be honest, how many of you actually remember this thing? Yeah, that's what I thought. Honestly, the most interesting thing about the ship isn't even in the game. It's the fact that the Ozmandias is the name of a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley. English class flashbacks, anyone? So hey, at least we learned something new today. Fallout, come for the post-apocalypse, stay for the poetry lesson, I guess? But as for the ship itself, F tier. No questions, no regrets. Let's move on to literally anything else. All aboard! Next stop, New Vegas Station. Here we're checking out one of the more grounded vehicles in the Fallout universe, the locomotive from Fallout New Vegas. Shocking, I know. Now, compared to the trains from Fallout 4 and 76, which range from weird to straight up absurd, this one actually plays it pretty straight. It's basically a version of the classic F-Unit Electromotive Division Diesel Locomotive. What a mouthful. And yeah, it definitely looks like it could still pull a few cars down the track without exploding into a fireball. It also could probably take turns. It's got passenger space inside, proper couplings, it's really all there. Functional, for sure. Exciting? Not really. It's what we in the biz call a covered wagon style engine, and it just kind of exists. Nothing too flashy. So while it may be one of the more plausible entries, I gotta give this one a C, just because I really like to see them try something. Staying on track here in the Mojave, pun absolutely intended, we're heading over to Sloan Quarry to check out everyone's favorite background prop, the excavator. Now let's be real, there's not a ton to say about this one. It's an excavator. Like, straight up regular old diggy machine. No atomic flare, no Brotherhood logos, not even a cool name like the Diggernaut, or something wild like that. Occasionally, Bethesda throws a Deathclaw warning sign on it just to remind that, hey, death is nearby, so, flavor there. But it's just the kind of vehicle that sits there, quietly existing, not bothering anyone. Is it bad? Well, no. Is it interesting? Also no. C tier, moving on. Wow, okay, the RNG must really be feeling that New Vegas love right now, because here we go again with another Mojave adjacent ride. This time though, we're not talking about the desert highways. We're rolling into Prim, straight into the glitzy halls of Whiskey Pete's Hotel and Casino, to check out the one, the only, the Death Car. Now, if that name didn't already sell it, let me give you the pitch. It's Fallout's take on the infamous Bonnie and Clyde story, except with a little wasteland twist. Enter Vicky and Vance, because of course we're going all in on the alliteration, baby. Their ride? A bullet-riddled 1934 Ford Deluxe V8 lookalike, oozing with style and dripping with don't mess with us energy, and also bullet holes. I've always been a sucker for when Fallout dips into real-world history and adds its own flavor, and this is one of those times where it works. It's not just a cool prop, it's got lore, it's got swagger, and it fits the vibe of the setting pretty dang well. So just like I did with the Wright Flyer earlier, I'm slapping this one in B tier. Ah yes, the next ride rolling into our apocalyptic bus stop is probably the first vehicle most of us ever experienced in the Fallout universe. Picture it, that murky green tint, a little hula girl bobbing on the dash, the radio crackling some retro tunes, and then we pan out to a Brotherhood of Steel soldier staring dramatically into the ruins of DC. You already know what it is, the City Liner, Fallout 3 and 4's signature nuclear-powered people mover. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend a bus is the most exciting thing on wheels in the wasteland. But if you actually take a moment to look at this thing up close, it's got way more thought put into it than you'd expect from early Bethesda-era vehicles. For starters, it's clearly rear-engined and nuclear-powered, not exactly your standard Greyhound. You've got these big ol' warning labels slapped all over the back just in case someone gets any funny ideas. The interior is fully explorable, the driver's seat has some surprisingly decent sightlines, and the whole thing's got this sleek, almost train-like aesthetic, with its rounded edges and covered wheel wells. But what really caught my eye? Those chunky rear fenders labeled no step. I mean, come on, that's gotta be some kind of radiation buffer, right? Like maybe they designed them to extend out and take the brunt of rear end collisions so, the whole bus doesn't go nuclear when it's hit? That's what I'm telling myself anyway, and I like the story. So yeah, it's a bus, but it's a good one. Solid A tier. Alright, this one's got me genuinely hyped. If you've been around the channel for a while, you definitely know I'm a huge fan of the Prydwen. So can you imagine how excited I am to take a look at the Brotherhood of Steel's first Zeppelin from Fallout Tactics with you all today. Now, fair warning, we're working with some serious potato resolution here since the thing wasn't actually flyable or fully interactable in the game. But hey, that's never stopped us before. So what exactly is this thing? Well, it's a rigid frame, dirigible, classic airship design using gas bags filled with something lighter than air, probably not helium since the apocalypse, but still pretty cool. It's one of the Brotherhood's first stabs at airborne superiority after the fall of the Master, and let me tell you, it shows. Compared to the Prydwen, this thing looks like the prototype's prototype. Light armor, almost no real superstructure, and just tiny little gondolas, one up front and one hanging off the back. it kind of looks like they just duct taped a couple of RVs to a blimp and called it a day. But, and this is a big but in the best way, I love the addition of the invasion-style parasite balloons. You know the ones, just chilling on the side, creating a hazard for all those fighter planes that are totally in the wastes. Super cool concept though, even if it never really got its moment in the sun. All in all, this thing laid the groundwork for something far greater, and I'm so glad that it got reimagined as the Brotherhood in Fallout 4. For that, it gets a solid B tier from me. Well, welcome back to Quarry Junction, baby. Fallout New Vegas really went all in on this spot, huh? I mean, how many unique vehicles did they squeeze in here? For one location, that's some serious asset dedication. This time around, we're shining the spotlight on the front loader. And yeah, I mean, it's a front loader. What more do you want me to say? It looks exactly like you'd expect it to. A big industrial scootmobile doing its blue-collar best to stay relevant in a world filled with deathclaws and atomic-powered monstrosities. I don't have much else to add here other than respect. Respect to the devs who went all out on Quarry Junction's vibe. It's not flashy, it's not weird, but it is grounded and believable. So for that, it gets C tier from me. But with a respectful nod for all the work the developers put into this specific location. Chrysler Motors is back at it again with another Corvega. This time with the ever so thrilling, pulse-pounding, adrenaline-fueled sedan. Yeah, real imaginative name there, guys. What's next? The Corvega vehicle? Jokes aside, this is probably the first car in the Fallout universe where I looked at it and thought, huh, that's just a regular old car. Like, sure, it's got that retro vibe, but it doesn't scream Fallout the way most other vehicles do. The front, total snooze fest. Could have been ripped straight out of a 1950s catalog. Now the rear at least tries to give us something. A tiny little rear windshield, some exhaust panels, and that classic rounded engine casing thing that just hints at a nuclear power source. It's not a total loss, but it's not doing Corvega's reputation any favors either. So yeah, not much to write home about. D tier for this one. Ah yes, staying in the Corvega family, but this time with something that actually looks like it belongs in the Fallout universe and not your grandpa's garage. Say hello to the Blitz. Easily one of the cooler cars in the wasteland in my humble and completely correct opinion. Now I know a bunch of you have asked me to talk about this one before, so hey, dreams do come true, at least kind of. You're getting the speedrun version today. According to Corvega's pitch, the Blitz is a sleek, economical, family-friendly coupe that seats 5 with room to spare. 5! I mean, I've owned a Mustang and I'm pretty sure it legally counts as a war crime to call that family-friendly. So yeah, color me skeptical. That said, the Blitz does look pretty slick. It's got this funky rhombus-shaped chassis and a forward nuclear engine compartment, because of course it does, and an overall shape that's way more rounded and organic than its boxy snooze-fest sibling, the sedan. The front's actually got some flair too, with headlights and paneling that don't make me instantly yawn. The back of the Blitz, also solid, at least mostly. Those taillights, a little too stabby in my opinion. Also, it looks like there's an engine compartment back there too, which is confusing, because the front also looks like it houses the engine. So which is it, Corvega? Front engined, rear engined, or both maybe? Oh, and before we forget, no trunk. I'm sorry, but if you're gonna tell me this is a family vehicle and then give me 0 cargo space, we've got a problem. The real-life inspiration, the 1954 DeSoto Adventurer 2, at least tried to have a trunk. The Blitz? Nah, not even a little chubby cubbyhole. So yeah, it's cool, it's stylish, but that whole family-friendly thing? Not buying it. It's a B-tier vehicle for me, but still better than the sedan. Actually, way better. Now let's dive back under the waves, this time to the wreck site of the SSN 37-1A, a Chinese reconnaissance submarine off the coast of Point Lookout. Now the lore and quests tied to this sub, super intriguing, but the actual model? Yikes, that's a very different story. As I've seen in the comments in my Yanksa and USS Democracy videos, a lot of people seem to think that submarines all look the same. Just a long tube with a sail on top. Well, guess what? They're actually right in this case. The SSN 37-1A is literally just a tube with a sail, and nothing else. No torpedo tubes, no cool markings, not even any interesting design features to make it stand out. And let's talk about the name for a second. I'm not even gonna say it again. come on, even the name's a letdown. This is like the textbook definition of wasted potential. So yeah, I'm giving this one an F. Sorry, but this sub gets subpar marks from me. So this next one, if you've seen my video on it, you probably know I'm not the biggest fan. Look, it's not that the Stingray Deluxe is downright awful, but come on, it could have been such a cool Fallout fighter jet. Instead, we got a flying boat with a name that sounds like it should be served with a side of fries at a beachside burger joint. Honestly, it's just a weird looking vehicle all around. The rounded shape, the random fins everywhere, the support bars and cables all over the place, it doesn't really come together. That said, I do appreciate that they at least tried something different with the Stingray. It's at least a step up from the standard fighter jets on Rivet City's decks. And don't even get me started on the Corsair-style livery on the cover of Tesla Science magazine. That is way better than what we got in the actual game mesh. Well, texture. It makes the Warbird look sick, but the actual in-game model, not so much. So, because I can see the effort they put into it, I'll give the Stingray Deluxe a D instead of an F. But let's be real, if I wasn't so disappointed by the missed opportunity, it's probably a solid B. But hey, I just can't shake this feeling. Okay, full honesty time. I had no idea this next one even existed. It's part of the REPCONN family of rockets, and I'm willing to bet a lot of you haven't heard of it either. How many of you ever spotted the R77-93A needle nose rocket? Yeah, I didn't think so. It's easy to miss because it only shows up as a scale model in the REPCONN headquarters at Novak's gas station. Now, here's how REPCONN describes it. This sleek and purple R77-293A needle nose is what happens when you mix fossil and plasma in a rocket and shake it up. The fossil fuels punch this sharp-nosed terror through the sky, and the plasma shoots it through space to planets where REPCONN can mine more fossil fuels, continuing the whole cycle. First off, can we all agree this rocket is blue, not purple? Secondly, I'm sure at full scale this thing would probably look pretty cool, but I don't get why it's called needle nose. The nose cone just looks like any other standard rocket nose to me. Nothing really sharp or crazy about it. What is interesting though are those extra dorsal fins with what I'm not sure is lights or viewing ports, but they're definitely a unique touch. Also, why do the stabilizing fins look so unaerodynamic on the leading edge? All that said, it's a pretty striking design, so I'm gonna give it a B. Could have been better, but it's still got some cool stuff going on. While we're here, I'm gonna give the RNG a break for a sec and cover another rocket from the REPCONN family. Meet the V29-321G, aka Big Fat Fiery Fred. BFFF? Now this rocket became pretty infamous after a re-entry mishap destroyed its launch site, teaching REPCONN a very valuable lesson in the importance of explosion-resistant shielding. Fun stuff, right? Honestly, I don't remember ever seeing one of these in-game either, which is a bummer because it actually has some pretty wild backstory. According to REPCONN, the V29-321G may look like a big fat red rocket, their words not mine, but this big old fatty here used to run laps around the Earth. Yeah, that's right, it's got some serious bragging rights. The re-entry mishap, however, earned it the nickname Big Fat Fiery Fred, but REPCONN, being the optimists they are, like to focus on the successes. Design-wise, Fiery Fred is all fins with a pretty blunt head. It's a bit more visually interesting than the needle nose, kind of giving it a fish vibe for some reason. Don't ask me why, like a guppy or something, maybe a beta. That said, I have a feeling this thing might be more style than substance. It just doesn't seem super functional. So I do actually like it more than needle nose, but not enough to push it any higher in the tier system. So Big Fat Fiery Fred still gets a solid B from me. Definitely a cool rocket, but it's got plenty of room for improvement. Wrapping up the REPCONN family of rockets is this next unit. Now, I don't really remember this one, surprise, surprise, but it's called the Z43-521P. Thanks, engineers, for that super catchy name. But honestly, who's gonna call it that? So we're gonna call it by its nickname, Green Bean, because come on, who wouldn't want one of these little scrappers in their backyard garden? I mean, would you rather have a smoldering Z43-521P or a nice humble green bean? One of those sounds like it belongs in a news story, and spoiler alert, it definitely made the news. Apparently, this thing features REPCONN's fancy plasma engine, so naturally it was newsworthy enough for them to take out the quantum matter modulation unit and see if they could find a way to use it without blowing things up. Yeah, REPCONN's track record of success is, well, stellar. Aesthetically, the green bean looks a lot like the needle nose, same basic vibe, but with some massive fins that make it look more like a shuttlecock than a rocket. Not sure how that helps with the whole space travel thing, but hey, it's definitely unique. So overall, the green bean is a bit silly, but I'm not mad about it. It gets a B in my book. It's not the best, but it's got character, and it also apparently contributed to the development of plasma weapons, so props to that as well. I hear the sea a-callin' again, folks. Let's talk about the MS Azalea and FMS Northern Star from Fallout 4, two of the largest ships we've seen so far in the series. These bad boys are big coastal freighters, and you can really tell they share a lot of similarities with the Riptide class of vessels. We've got that long flat deck, a single smokestack, and the familiar 3-tiered superstructure. Now the stern is nice and rounded, but the bow, oh, it's long and sharp, made to slice right through waves like a pro. The whole thing is decked out in a classic red, black, and white color scheme that just screams, I'm a big, important ship. Honestly, I've got a soft spot for this class of vessel. There's something about the sheer size that just demands your attention. But here's the catch. The superstructure just feels lazy, to be honest. It's basically just a rehash of the towboat class, which doesn't really do much to make it stand out. So while it's got presence, I'm putting this one in B tier. Solid, but not blowing my mind. Wow, now I really appreciate the city liner. Up next, we have the shuttle bus from Fallout 76. It's a simple, boxy, basic bus. How incredibly boring. F tier. Moving on. Alright, let's cleanse the palate a little bit with something just a little different. The Zetan Recon craft from Fallout 3. Now this thing is a far cry from the typical UFO you might be imagining. It's got a unique design, kind of like a TIE fighter crossed with a donut, if you can picture that. The cockpit is smack dab in the center, nestled between the two arms of the donut like someone took a bite out of it. It's got two slick dorsal fins, and this thing is clearly rear-engined with a set of thrusters that look pretty dang impressive, all tucked between 3 tail fins. I actually find myself liking the Fallout 4 UFO a little more than this one, so as much as I dig the Zetan Recon craft, I'm giving it a solid B. Buckle up, folks, because we're not messing around anymore. Oh no, we're diving into one of the big boys, and if you've seen my deep dive on this beast, you already know where this is going. That's right, I'm talking about the absolute unit that is the Prydwen from Fallout 4. Now look, I adore this thing, even if it tragically lacks bathrooms. Like, what are they doing up there, holding it in for the Brotherhood? But anyways, the Prydwen is a flying fortress. She can launch vertibirds like their fighter jets, acts as a mobile HQ for the Brotherhood of Steel, and comes stocked with everything you'd expect. A repair bay, assault ramp, and an obnoxious number of soldiers stomping around in full power armor. Oh, and let's not forget, she's literally hauling Liberty Prime around like a spare tire. Just, you know, a skyscraper-sized communism punching spare tire. Some assembly required. Visually, she's a stunner. Massive superstructure, Tesla coil flare, cables everywhere, and robot arms that lock onto incoming vertibirds in an intricate docking sequence. And what an intro scene. Straight fire. This one's a no-brainer. S tier, 10 out of 10. Winning, son. If you want to see more on the Prydwen, check out my dedicated video. You won't regret it. I'll be straight with you. I know absolutely nothing about farming equipment. Like, if you ask me what a combine actually does, I'd probably guess it turns corn into jet or something. But hey, that doesn't mean I can't judge this thing purely on its vibes. And folks, this combine from Fallout 4 looks bonkers. First off, the cab is just chilling off to one side like it's trying to win a game of hide and seek. Then you've got this jungle of tires on long booms, and these weird little windshield wipers that look like they were installed by a Vault-Tec intern. It's got big post-apocalyptic Frankenstein tractor energy, and honestly, I love it. I don't know if it could harvest wheat or harvest souls, but for sheer style points, solid B tier. This next one's a personal favorite of mine that you probably forgot even existed, and honestly, I don't blame you. This one only shows up for like a half second in the intro cutscene to Fallout 4. That's right, I'm talking about the missile carrier. Yeah, that beefy beast rolling through the background while the bombs are falling, that's the one. And listen, I know nobody remembers it. The analytics on my deep dive video for it made that very clear. By the way, if you want to toss me a pity click on that one, I would not complain. Thank you in advance. Anyways, back to the carrier itself, this thing is a unit. We're talking heavy armor slapped onto a tank chassis, a roomy cabin with a mounted gun, anti-mine gear, and of course, the star of the show, 2 massive missiles perched on the rear launcher like it's just waiting to ruin someone's day. It's basically the army version of a pizza delivery truck if the pizza was nuclear devastation. I adore this vehicle, and it kills me that it never made it into the actual game as a usable or explorable asset. But facts are facts. If it's not really in the game, can I justify dropping it in S tier? So no, not really. It's gonna be A tier for me, but I still love you, Missile Carrier. Sliding into the video like it just missed its stop, we've got another funky little number from Fallout 76, the Monorail pod. Now this thing looks like it was ripped straight out of Tomorrowland. It's got that sleek, rounded vibe with 3 big circular windows and what looks like it should be a massive glass door that probably opened vertically because you know, we're fancy here in the future wasteland. Step inside and you're greeted by a classic bus bench style seat, a bunch of handholds, and just enough space to cram in what, 10 people give or take a ghoul? The whole design is solid, nothing mind-blowing mind you, but it feels like someone actually tried. That said, I do have some questions. Like, how does this thing actually move? There are no guide wheels, no visible propulsion, nothing mechanical that would explain how it's supposed to actually, glide along that monorail track? Is it magnetic maybe? Is it some kind of vault-tech levitation tech? Or are we just chalking it up to good old Fallout hand-wavium? Either way, it's got charm, it's got a little style, and it's got me curious enough not to knock it. But I don't love it. I do like it though, so the monorail rolls into a comfortable B tier status. Jinkies gang, we've got a real retro futuristic treat rolling in next. It's the Vault-Tech van, and I swear this thing looks 1 plutonium core away from being the mystery machines glow up in the post-apocalypse. First introduced in Fallout 4, this van is absolutely oozing style. It's got these long sweeping curves that flow right into taillights like it's showing off for a concept car runway. There's some pinstripe detailing going on that kind of screams I'm important, oversized side mirrors that actually say I can see everything, and a big old cargo door in the back for whatever Vault-Tech was actually hauling around. Probably propaganda, definitely skeletons. And the best part, thanks to our overly persistent Vault-Tech salesman hanging out in your lawn just before the bomb spell, we actually get to see this beauty in mint condition. So I guess we are glad he made it to our door, huh? Annoying or not, the guy came with some quality van content. Honestly, this thing's got that clean atomic age energy that I love. Bold, weird, iconic. The Vault-Tech van gets an easy A tier from me. Okay, hear me out. Do you guys think the Fallout universe had its own version of that 70s show? Because if it did, this next ride definitely would have been the star of the opening credits. That's right, it's time to talk about the station wagon from Fallout 4. This 4-door family-friendly hauler is basically the minivan of the atomic age. You see it everywhere in the Commonwealth, rusted, wrecked, and weirdly majestic. This bad boy was built to haul 6 or 7 people, complete with a bubble canopy roof and 2 trunks. 2! That's like a dad's dream come true. Visually, I kinda like it. That bubble canopy is giving serious Jetsons vibes, and while it looks absolutely slick, you know it turns into an oven come summer. The front end, it's got this charming, almost face-like design, like a car trying to smile through the apocalypse. The sides are sleek and swoopy, and the back? Well, let's just say if you were trying to parallel park this thing using the rear window, good luck, buddy. Visibility is not this thing's strongest suit. But you know what? For a station wagon, it's got swagger. It's weird, it's retro, it looks like it rolled straight out of an alternate universe sitcom. I'm giving this one a solid A tier. This next one honestly caught me off guard. Like, how did it take until Fallout 76 for the fire truck to show up in its own distinct vehicle? I mean, anyone who's sunk more than 5 minutes into a city builder knows this is the MVP of public safety. No fire trucks, your whole pixelated suburbia goes up in smoke. Fast. So let's give it up for the big red beast itself, the fire truck. And this thing is an absolute unit. We're talking a 4-axle monster with tires that look like they were ripped off a tank. It doesn't look like it's headed for an apartment fire. It looks like it's about to breach the gates of oblivion. And maybe I'm biased, but it actually reminds me a lot of the state-of-the-art rigs they used at the Joint Navy Air Force base I worked on right after college. This isn't your everyday fire truck. This is a military-grade blazebuster. Just look at the water tanks on this bad boy. That turret in the front, it's comically huge. Like I'm pretty sure it could put out a fire and start a small hurricane at the same time. Only weird thing, the cab looks like it's split down the middle, which might make communication between the crew members a bit of a game of telephone. But hey, that's a small price to pay. Honestly, I'm super impressed. The only reason I'm not bumping this absolute unit into S tier is because it's not quite iconic. Yet, in Fallout lore. But in terms of design and presence, easy A+ from me. You know what really bums me out? The complete and total lack of a crotch rocket in the Fallout universe. Like, come on Bethesda, where's my post-apocalyptic Kawasaki? Instead, we get regular old motorcycles. And hey, I won't throw too much shade, a bike's a bike, and you can't be too mad about that, right? This particular ride pops up in Fallout 3 in New Vegas and then gets a glow-up with a named variant, the Lone Wanderer, in Fallout 4. But let's talk about the OG version for a second, because, oof, it's just kind of meh. The whole model is super drab, almost completely devoid of color. And don't even get me started on the exhaust. For some reason it gives me serious street cleaner energy. Not exactly the image you want from what's supposed to be the embodiment of cool rebellion and open road freedom. It's got potential, I'll give it that, and when the very talented modding community gives it a spit shine, you can definitely see the charm start to peek through. But sadly, that's not the version we get in the base game. So as much as I want to love it, I gotta be real, this motorcycle just doesn't rev my engine. It's a D tier from me. Oh boy, this next one gets me more riled up than a death claw after she catches you red-handed with one of her eggs. We're talking about the USS Democracy, a quote American sub that for some inexplicable reason looks just like the Yanksa if you cut it in the middle. Gave it a tummy tuck, I guess, and called it a day. Like, why? Just why? It's such a lazy reuse of assets that genuinely makes my blood pressure spike. I was so frustrated, I made a whole video trying to mentally derive some lore to cope with it so that I could at least tolerate its existence. If you're curious about that lore copium, go check it out. It's a great video. But look, no amount of headcanon can save this one for me. It's a massive, truly massive missed opportunity. We had this killer submarine pen set piece, and instead of dropping an awesome unique vessel to match the atmosphere, Bethesda gave us a copy pasta submarine number 2. It took what could have been a jaw-dropping moment and just torpedoed it. So yeah, with absolutely no regrets, the USS Democracy gets an F tier from me. Bethesda, I love y'all, but come on, do better. Warping dramatically into frame, we've got our final Zetan craft, and oh baby, we're not ending small here. It's the Mothership. Yes, the Mothership. This thing is absolutely gargantuan, and it's everything you'd want from a proper alien death frisbee. First off, it's got a death ray. Wouldn't be complete without one, and it's massive, slung underneath like it's just waiting to vaporize the nearest unfortunate landmark. Then you've got the bridge, a panoramic glass wonder that offers a view of Earth so good it makes you forget you're probably about to be dissected. And what's a mothership without all the greatest hits? Hangar bays? Check. Science labs? Oh yeah. Abductees like Amelia Earhart and Genghis Khan? You betcha! Plus a whole swarm of little green men just begging to be zapped by your latest laser rifle. Design-wise, yeah, it's kind of like a giant space Oreo. One big saucer sandwiched between two smaller ones, but the detailing, unlike with Rivet City, is pretty good. There's enough glowing lights, textured panels, and well-placed glass to keep the whole thing looking fresh and otherworldly. Bonus points for how Bethesda controls your viewing angles. This thing was staged to impress, and compared to the janky up-close textures of Rivet City, the Mothership looks like a work of alien art. Functionally, it nails the assignment. Labs, bridges, probes, possible detachable saucer sections for redundancy, it's all there. I'm not quite obsessed with it enough to throw it into S tier, but this flying sci-fi fortress easily earns a solid A from me. Going back to the sea and back to the mundane, let's talk about the sailboat. Yep, we're talking about the incredibly basic sailboat from Fallout 76. Now don't get too excited, not that that was really possible, because well, it's just a sailboat. It's a small, conventional, and honestly pretty forgettable craft. It's so basic it could be mistaken for clutter in the wasteland. It exists for sure, but it doesn't leave any lasting impression. So yeah, I'm putting this one in the meh category, C tier. Alright, up next we're diving into some true Mad Max vibes with a vehicle that could have been built right after a wild night at the local Raider bar. I'm talking about the simply named Buggy from Fallout Tactics. This thing is pure chaos on wheels, cobbled together by a bunch of raiders after too many drinks. It's not the most reliable ride, but it's fast and maneuverable enough to get you out of a tight spot when you need it most. Now let's talk aesthetics. The front is rocking a battering ram, because of course it is, complete with 2 human skulls and an interesting horned creature on top that I don't think I've ever seen before. So that's really fascinating, giving it a whole mysterious vibe. As for the cab, it's basically leather slapped together, held onto the chassis like it's some sort of post-apocalyptic patchwork quilt. Try saying that 5 times fast. The engine, tucked in the rear surrounded by spikes, classic Raider style. It's rough, it's ready, and it's definitely got that wild ride energy. Overall, I think the Buggy actually looks pretty good, and it gets a solid B tier from me. Not perfect, but it's got personality. Space fans, strap in because we're heading back into orbit. Well, kinda. Technically, this next vehicle was in space, but its orbit pulled a nah, I'm out, and now it's crash landed in good old Appalachia. Yep, we're talking about the USSA's Valiant 1 space station from Fallout 76. Now, Valiant 1 had big dreams. It was built around a circular orbiting wheel with a central command core, all connected by spokes like some sort of cosmic wheel. The whole setup is actually a nod to a real-world concept dreamed up by Wernher von Braun back in the 1950s. His idea was that the spinning wheel would create artificial gravity. Super cool, super not how physics works when your space station plummets through Earth's atmosphere. Because let's be honest, most of this sucker would have been vaporized on re-entry, not crash landing intact like some glorified jungle gym. Visually, we don't really get much. The station's mostly reduced to some skeletal outer ring bits and a half-buried core, and while I want to be impressed, it's just underwhelming up close. Still, I'll give credit where credit's due. It's a neat concept, and it makes for a pretty sweet in-game landmark. So even if the realism is incredibly shaky and the details are a little meh, I'll be generous and slot the Valiant 1 into a respectable B tier. Just enough style to save it from the scrap heap. It's time to blast off one last time, at least probably maybe. We're wrapping up our rocket rundown with the Delta IX rocket from Fallout 3. This chunky space lad served the good old USSA for 15 years before, in true Fallout fashion, science gave way to let's slap a warhead on it and call it a day. Yep, this once proud symbol of exploration ended up moonlighting as an atomic pizza delivery system. But hey, it did rack up 77 successful launches and even took us to the moon one last time before humanity collectively said, yeah, space is neat, but what if we nuke stuff instead? Let's talk specs. The Delta IX was a single-stage rocket with a detachable crew pod or satellite bay, whatever your mission needed. It ran on a nuclear electric derivative drive, which basically means it used a massive electrical jolt, like a Pikachu hitting puberty, to kick off the nuclear reaction that propelled it into orbit. The astronauts, bless their brave souls, were supposedly shielded from all that radiation by a giant disc made of titanium vanadium. Fancy stuff, but probably didn't work, to be honest. The crew compartment itself could sustain those 2 people for up to 24 days, with the longest recorded mission clocking in at 17. Not too shabby, right? Visually, the Delta IX holds its own. Yeah, it's got the usual Fallout flair, random fins, odd bulges, control surfaces where you least expect them, but I kinda love it. Those angular wings in front, sick. The muted military gray, very classy. And the square windows, very cool aesthetically, even if they'd probably shatter the moment you left the atmosphere. There's a reason why windows in craft that face extreme pressure have rounded windows. Just saying. But hey, style points. Overall, this one's a banger, A+ tier rocket. Looks good, has actual lore depth, and gives me the warm fuzzy feeling of a sci-fi fever dream done right. Oh man, if you weren't already convinced that the Fallout universe is one giant OSHA violation wrapped in a nuclear bow, let me introduce you to the Nuke Carrier from Fallout Tactics. This thing is peak what could possibly go wrong. So picture this, they took a Brotherhood APC, already a chunky beast, and just lopped off the back like it was a bad haircut. Instead of seats for soldiers, strap a giant, absolutely comically oversized nuke on the flatbed. And how do they secure this doomsday stick? With what looks like 2 Y-shaped cradles made out of pipe cleaners and a couple of flimsy little towing straps you'd expect to be holding down someone's mattress on the highway. I mean, seriously, this setup is one pothole away from becoming Fallout's newest crater. Can you imagine being assigned to operate this vehicle? Hey soldier, today you're gonna drive this 10-ton warhead through a combat zone in a janky flatbed. Try not to sneeze too hard. Nope, hard pass. And the biggest missed opportunity here, we've still never gotten a proper, fully fleshed out vehicle designed specifically for hauling these things in the Fallout universe. Like, this should be an iconic sight across the wasteland, but instead we get this last minute slapped together job. So yeah, I'm giving this one a D. Honestly, that's me being generous. F tiers knocking on the door. This next vehicle, if I'm being real with you, I had never seen before working on this video. But hey, I don't think I'm alone in this one because this sleek little number, the Jet Boat, made its first appearance in Fallout 76. And let's be honest, it kinda snuck in under the radar. This 2-seater Speed Demon's biggest flex? That absolute unit of an engine strapped behind the cabin. I mean seriously, it looks like someone bolted a jet turbine onto a canoe and said, yeah, this'll be fine. And true to its name, this thing's got twin thrusters in the back ready to plow through the water. It's got the look of something that should be outrunning a radioactive shark in a post-apocalyptic Bond movie. But beyond that beefy engine, there's just not much else to say. No real personality, just a fast boat doing fast boat things. So yeah, as much as I want to hype it up for the sheer cool factor, I gotta be honest, C tier. Not bad, not great, just chilling in the middle of the pack with all the other meh but neat vehicles. Ah yes, time for a little nostalgia. How many of you remember the subject of my second video ever? If you do, Adam bless you. You've been here since the beginning, and I love you for it. If not, hey, no worries, I won't hold it against you. At least not much. Anyway, let's dive into the APC from Fallout 4 and 76, or as I lovingly call her, the West Tech Hermit. This beast is a chunky, road-hogging armored personnel carrier designed to haul around a crew of 3 operators, 2 units of power armor, and 6 unlucky flesh bags straight into the jaws of war. And not only can it carry, it can throw down. We're talking 2 76mm ball turrets and a big ol' 105mm autonomous cannon chilling on top. At that point, it's less an APC and more of a straight-up infantry fighting vehicle. Now visually, this thing screams Fallout. Green, gritty, and full of Cold War, we slapped armor on a box and hoped for the best energy. But functionally, oof. Let me count the ways it goes wrong. Tires? Why tires? There is a tracked version in Fallout 76, and it's way better. Tall and flat, it's basically a billboard that says shoot me here, not a great look for a combat vehicle. It has shot traps galore. Those rounded ball turret mounts, yeah, they're basically designed to bounce shells right into the soft, gooey center of this vehicle. And lastly, this one's hilarious, the viewports in the rear don't actually connect to the inside of the vehicle like they're supposed to, so attention to detail was also severely lacking. So while I love the idea of the West Tech Hermit, and it definitely looks like it belongs in the Fallout universe, I just can't put it in A tier or S tier. It lands at a solid B in my book. And hey, depending on your standards, that still might be pretty good. Alright, so for this next one, I'm gonna really try to keep my complaints short and sweet. Keyword try. Let's talk about Rivet City, the big, rusty fortress bobbing in the Potomac. Now don't get me wrong, the concept of Rivet City, straight up fire. A floating, post-apocalyptic settlement built into an aircraft carrier. Yes, please, inject that into my veins. But here's the problem. Actually, scratch that. Here are my 2 main problems. Number 1, it should not be riveted. And if you're wondering why that rustles my jimmies, I made an entire video on it, so go check it out. I dive way deeper into that rabbit hole. Number 2, it's based on a 1947 era aircraft carrier, and the bombs fell in 2077. Are we seriously pretending that this ancient ship would still be seaworthy, let alone livable, 130 years later? Come on. Unless this thing was already a museum ship just chilling in the Potomac, it's hard to sell. And okay, even if it was a museum, what a missed opportunity. This could have been a shining example of post-war ingenuity, a floating, illuminated bastion of civilization in a sea of ruin. But instead, it's just straight out of history. So instead of claiming its rightful place in S tier as one of the coolest Fallout settlements ever, Rivet City gets docked down to B for me. Cool idea, meh execution. So if you were mildly intrigued by the motorcycle from Fallout 3, let me ask you this. How do y'all feel about the Lone Wanderer bike from Fallout 4 and 76? Because me personally, I'm a fan. It's amazing what a little color and some actual visual polish can do for a model. I mean, underneath it all, is the Lone Wanderer really that different from its Fallout 3 ancestor? Not really, but the presentation is much improved. Gone is that depressing slab of gray, and in its place, a gorgeous shade of red. Bonus points because that just happens to be my favorite color. And when you throw in a sleek titanium trim with that, come on, it's no contest. I'm sold. Also, remember those weird hose-like exhaust pipes from the original bike? The ones that made it look like the street sweeper? Yeah, they're gone. Instead, we've got a more refined exhaust jet at the back and a much slicker handlebar design up front. It's just cleaner, cooler, and way more competent. So no, it's still not a high-speed crotch rocket that I've been dreaming of, but the Lone Wanderer is a solid ride. It gets an easy A from me. Next up on this list is a ride that's apparently iconic. Though if you're like me and your Fallout journey started in Fallout 3, the Chrysless Highwayman probably doesn't hit you with any big waves of nostalgia. But hey, let's talk about it anyway. The Highwayman is this cool little combo of stylish curves and rugged survivalist vibes. Fully analog too, so none of that pesky pre-war digital nonsense that breaks the moment it gets a little dust in it. For life in the wasteland, honestly not a bad setup. It made its proper appearance in Fallout 2, and popped back up in New Vegas as a little Easter egg wreck. Full transparency though, I completely missed it in New Vegas, or found it and just didn't notice. Just looked like any other burned out car to me. And I played that game for 450 hours. Visually, it's tough to fully judge because we're talking about those OG 2D sprite graphics. But from what we can tell, the front's pretty standard while the back rocks some classic wing fenders, and it looks like a whole engine party is happening back there. It doesn't do anything crazy, but it also doesn't offend my eyes. So while it might be a legendary ride for some folks out there, for me, it's just a solid B-tier machine. Respectable, but not exactly unforgettable. From OG to the new kid on the block, pulling up to the next prom is the limousine from Fallout 76. Looking at the front of this thing, it looks like an angry old man, or maybe a hammerhead shark. The cabin itself looks like it has great visibility and a massive sunroof. The colors, both exterior and interior, are quite nice, while the rear retains a minimalized version of a common design element of the reactor MacGuffin towards the rear. This is a B-tier vehicle, plain and simple. Real talk, does anyone else have to squint at this next vehicle for a solid minute just to figure out which side is actually the front? Please tell me I'm not the only one. If you've had that what am I looking at moment with the picker up, sound off in the comments. I need backup on this. First things first though, the name, picker up, chef's kiss. Genuinely love that. Feels like something straight out of a pre-war commercial jingle. Get yourself a picker up today. Now design-wise, it's weird. Like, it starts pretending to be your average truck up front, and then all of a sudden, bam, the cabin shrinks down like someone forgot to scale it with the rest of the frame. There's this giant step-up platform between the wheel wells that looks like it was made for a super mutant, and out back, a massive deep bed truck bucket ready to haul. To be honest, it's too weird for me to fall head over heels for this one. But there's something I like about it. It's quirky and memorable. Solid B tier in my book. Don't love it, but I definitely like it. How many of you out there knew the Fallout series actually dropped a Star Trek reference? Because I gotta admit, I sure didn't see this one coming. Turns out in Fallout 2 there's a special encounter where you find a crashed shuttlecraft. And get this, there are 3 dead crew members all rocking those classic red uniforms. If that doesn't scream Star Trek, I don't know what does. It's such a cool little Easter egg, and honestly, it's just like the old Star Trek shuttles, a box on sleds. Classic 1960s tech at its finest. But here's the kicker, the reference, a solid A for me. But the vehicle itself, yeah, it's definitely F. It's a fun nod, but as an actual vehicle in the Fallout world, no. Huge flop. Y'all remember Gene skydiving from Fallout New Vegas, right? I sure hope so, because next up we're talking about the jet plane. And fun fact, this thing is actually based on a real-world aircraft, the Custer CCW-5, which was a prop plane. If you're curious about that, I've got a whole dedicated video diving into the details, so check that out when you get a chance. Aesthetically, the jet doesn't do much to stand out. Its main claim to fame is the cool channels in the wings where the engines are housed. Other than that though, it's pretty basic. For most folks who aren't deep diving into aircraft history, this model is not exactly something you'll remember for long. So if I'm being honest, I'd usually throw it in D tier, but since I've done my homework, I'll bump it up to C. Not amazing, but hey, it's got some charm for those who know. Up next, we've got the Scouter from Fallout Tactics, and honestly, I gotta ask, is this thing amphibious? Because it sure looks like it could have been a boat. Anyways, let's break it down. This little recon vehicle is pretty lightly armored and has a crew capacity of 2, and surprise surprise, it's unarmed. On the front, you've got a spare tire, a solid bumper, and some random half-circle metal bits that I'm not entirely sure what purpose they serve. It's rear-engined and rocks that weird engine-to-cab hose design that seems to be a signature move for pretty much every vehicle in Fallout Tactics. Oh, and I'm not even sure how the crew gets inside. I don't see a door anywhere. Maybe I'm missing it, but I'm honestly not seeing it. So yeah, all things considered, this one's landing firmly in D tier for me. I kind of feel bad about it because most of the Tactics vehicles I've reviewed have ended up in the same spot. Maybe it's just a nostalgia thing that I don't have, but hey, that's my take. Next folks, let's talk about one of the more interesting travel options in New Vegas, the monorail. So if you're a traveler, you've got 2 main ways into the New Vegas Strip, either through Freeside or you can hop on the monorail to Camp McCarran. Now here's the kicker, only military personnel are technically allowed to use the monorail. But once you get off of it, yeah, the NCR doesn't actually care that you took a free ride. So if you don't want to pay the caps to get into the Strip, easy peasy. Now this whole monorail system is actually based on the real-world Las Vegas monorail, except for the fact that in the real world it doesn't actually reach McCarran International Airport, though that expansion was originally planned. As for the monorail cars themselves, they're pretty simple honestly. Picture 2 glass pills stuck together with some flexible tunnel thing connecting them. It's pretty basic. Sure, the view from inside is probably amazing, but sadly we never really got to appreciate it. Big missed opportunity. I hate to say it, but I gotta dock points for that wasted potential. So yeah, this one's sitting in a D tier for me. Could have been awesome, but just kinda wasn't. Buckle up, because this next vehicle is wild. Functionally, it's a disaster, and aesthetically, it looks like a speedboat or a rocket on wheels, but you know what? I'm kinda here for it. Let's talk about the Chrysler Cherry Bomb, a single-seat, sound barrier-breaking automobile. This thing is powered by a 950 Buttercup Atomic V8 engine. Yes, you heard that right. And it can go from 0 to 60 in just 0.3 seconds. I mean, that's more like teleportation than actual driving. The canopy is made from plexiglass, which was apparently reserved for Army space troopers until this vehicle, although I'm not fully sold that detail is true, but it sure sounds cool. Now let's get one thing straight. This thing could not have been road legal. Could you imagine sonic booms happening on the interstate? You'd never make it to the store without causing a scene. It's absolute nonsense that this thing is even a concept for the roads. But hey, it fits the Fallout Extreme Sports Car niche perfectly. While I don't think it deserves S tier, I'm definitely giving it an A. It's the kind of ridiculousness we love in Fallout. Although let's be real, there's no way someone living in Sanctuary could actually afford this thing. Still, if you're looking for speed and style in the wasteland, this is your ride. Brace yourselves for this next one because technically it is a vehicle, so it made the list. I'm talking about the tricycle. Yep, you heard me right. Tricycle. Honestly, the most interesting thing about it is it made its debut before the bicycle in Fallout 76. And that's about all the excitement I can muster for it. I'm giving it a C because, well, it's a tricycle. And while we're basically on the subject, let's make this quick and painless and talk about the bicycle. It's also C tier. Let's take to the skies once more, and this time we're talking about Fallout's premier people mover, the Jetliner from Fallout 4 and 76. Now this bad boy is a massive blended wing passenger craft run principally by Horizon Airlines. It's got seats all over the place, in the fuselage, in the wings, you can practically name it. And for power, it's got not 1, not 2, but 4 engines on each wing. Yeah, this thing's a beast. If you want to dive deeper into the details of this craft, you should totally check out my dedicated video on it. In that one, I even get into what a militarized version of this thing might look like and how it could have been used. I'm pretty proud of that one, I'm not gonna lie. Now aesthetically, I absolutely adore this craft. Sure, there are some things I'd change, like maybe ditching that crazy engine cluster aesthetic and just sticking with two massive engines. But you can't deny that this thing is bold, atomic, and as Fallout as a Fat Man mini nuke. With all that said, I'm still a bit surprised at myself for putting the jetliner in S tier, but honestly, it totally earns it in my book. Next up, we've got the Cement Mixer Truck, and I'll admit I went back and forth on whether this vehicle is actually distinct enough from the standard truck to even include it. But you know what? It's got a few things worth mentioning, so here we are. Now the cab, yeah, pretty much just the standard truck, nothing special there. But once you get to the back, that's where things get interesting. You've got a big ol' spinning concrete drum as expected, plus 3 random cylindrical tanks, 2 on the sides and 1 mounted on top of the cab. Honestly, I have no clue what these tanks are for, but they do make the whole thing a little more visually unique. Still, it's not enough to make me feel strongly one way or the other about it, so I'm gonna put this one comfortably in C tier. Not bad, not great, just there. Next up, rolling into the station, we've got another little oddity, the hand car. Yep, it's exactly what it sounds like, just a hand car. The most notable thing about it is probably the fact the front and rear fenders double as stairs, making it easy for the player to hop on. Beyond that, there's really not much to it. No strong feeling here, so it's getting a solid C tier from me. Alaska, where it's not just birds flying high, but also Chinese bombers lurking in the skies. These bad boys travel in packs of 3, swooping across the Anchorage battlefield at regular intervals. Now, if you're looking at these bombers, you'll notice they're twin fuselage crafts. That's basically when you mash 2 airframes together. My go-to real-world comparison, the twin P-51 Mustangs. Those things are a thing of beauty. I dive deeper into that, plus more, in my dedicated video on the Chinese bomber, so make sure to check that out if you haven't already. Now, when it comes to the bomber itself, it's a bit tricky to judge, especially since it's designed to be viewed mostly from below. The top's not even fully modeled, but from underneath it really nails the look of a heavy bomber and has really great livery. So conceptually, I'm all about it, so I'm giving this one an A. Let's now talk about a vehicle I've wanted to dive into, well, forever. Ever since my Chrysler's patent video blew up. But I haven't. Why? Well, for 2 big reasons. First, you need a save that's already beaten the main quest of Fallout 3, and second, you must have almost completed the Broken Steel DLC. Both of these are huge tasks, especially given that Fallout 3 likes to crash every hour or so on modern systems. Sure, I could grab a save file from the Nexus that's already done all the heavy lifting, but for some reason I'm just really hesitant to do that. Anyways, enough whining about my first world problems and let's get into the good stuff, the mobile crawler. So the crawler transporter was originally a pre-war mobile satellite and shuttle launch platform, but then the Enclave decided to hijack it and turn it into their backup command center on the East Coast. Now with all their fancy Enclave tech, it's basically a full-on battle station. It's where the elite forces train, where they experiment with Deathclaws because of course, and where those ominous orbital payloads of doom are just waiting to be unleashed. Aesthetically, well, it's not exactly a looker, unless you're admiring it for its sheer scale. It's basically a giant rectangle with buildings on top supported by these huge tracked legs. Not exactly sexy, but conceptually, this is where it gets awesome. The idea of a mobile military base is brilliant. It reminds me of the land carrier from Haze. Anyone remember that game? Essentially, it was an aircraft carrier, but with tracks. But I digress. I love how the Enclave uses a pre-war utility vehicle like this. It just makes so much sense in the Fallout universe, and gives the Enclave a rather fitting finale for the ultimate battle. The only problem, it's trapped in Fallout 3, and the original graphic limitations kind of hold it back. So as much as I love the idea, I'm giving this one a solid B tier. Next up, we've got the official bird of my alma mater, the construction crane. Yeah, you heard that right. Surprisingly, this guy only shows up in New Vegas, and is not doing anything too fancy. This fun-sized crane was mostly used at train stations to offload cargo, and is basically just a single tower with one long counterbalanced lifting arm. The gondola sits right below the arm, chilling way up in the air like it's having the time of its life. At the end of the day though, it's about as basic as cranes come. And hey, that's not really a knock on cranes. Cranes are just, well, cranish. Nothing flashy, nothing wild. So I'm placing this one in C tier because while it's functional, it's not exactly getting my heart racing. Raise your hands if you've heard of the hubologists in the Fallout universe. If not, let me introduce you to some of the quirkiest, most eccentric folks around. The next craft we're talking about is supposedly one of their brainchildren, and it goes by the name ESS Quetzel. Now I'm not going to dive too deep into the backstory here because I've got an entire video dedicated to it. But here's the TLDR. The Hubologists are all about leaving Earth behind and venturing into the stars, aiming for a planet called Quetzel. So they're over in San Francisco fixing up this old space shuttle for a journey of a lifetime. Now let's talk about the shuttle itself. Aesthetically, the Quetzel kind of looks like a mashup between a cartoon bird and your typical real-world space shuttle. It's got this classic shuttle shape, but with a few extra quirks, like a giant central thruster and a bunch of auxiliary thrusters on the back. It's theoretically supposed to be a space plane that could escape Earth's gravity all on its own, regardless of how plausible that actually is. And let's not forget the random pipes running along the length of the craft, leading to a stubby vertical stabilizer that aren't exactly great. Honestly, I'd love to see the Quetzel with today's graphics. It would be a showstopper. But for what we got, I'm giving it solid B. It's got potential, but it's quite rough around the edges. A diamond in the rough, if you will. I'm going to keep this one real quick because if you want a full breakdown, you can always check out my dedicated video on the Rivet City fighter craft. But in short, this thing, it's a mess. It's basically a copy pasta of the P-80 Shooting Star, but the designer thought, hey, this doesn't look aircraft carrier enough. So they slapped on some folding wings in the most ridiculous way possible. Let's slap some bars on there that won't let the wings actually fold. Honestly, I'm going to be a little harsh here, but after all the hype for an actual atomic fighter, this feels like a total letdown. It's lazy, it's ugly, and it's worse than the original. So yeah, this thing is firmly an F tier for me. Buckle up, because we're driving back into my ongoing trend of dunking on Fallout Tactics vehicles. This time with the BMW, and not the cool kind. This one's based on the BMW 502, and let me tell you, it's rough. I'm assuming it's meant to be some kind of convertible, but honestly, it's a mess. The one tiny thing that I can say in its favor, it doesn't have that weird hose motif that plagues the other Tactics vehicles. But let's be real about it, this thing is an easy F tier for me. Fallout 76, the game that just keeps giving us oddball vehicles. Enter the quote-unquote jet ski. Now you might be thinking, oh cool, a jet ski. But hold up, because this one's got a twist. It's supposed to be a jet ski, but instead of the usual jet propulsion, it's powered by an outboard propeller. Yeah, you heard that right. That's not a jet ski. That's a weird boat with jet ski as a name. It's like calling a skateboard a hoverboard. Sorry, not buying it. Because of that weirdness, I'm slapping this thing with a big ol' F. It's not fooling anyone. Okay folks, it's time to talk about a true American legend, the USS Constitution. Now in the real world, this ship has one heck of a legacy. Old Ironsides is still afloat today as a museum ship, which is absolutely wild when you think about it. There's even some spicy historical drama around whether the current vessel is the original or if one of her overhauls just straight up replaced her entirely. Either way, she's a beauty and a piece of maritime history. But then Fallout happened. Bethesda looked at this elegant warship and thought, you know what she needs? Rocket engines and cranky robots, of course. And honestly, this decision drives me up the wall. I get Fallout is all about retro futuristic flair, but this feels like graffiti on a national monument. It's loud, it's goofy, and it just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, no hesitation here. This is an F tier. Easiest one I've ever handed out. It's finally time for me to give Fallout Tactics some flowers. Yeah, I know, shocking at this point. But when it comes to the Hellion, even I can't deny this thing is awesome. So, what is the Hellion? It's a beefy, experimental warbird tucked away in Buena Vista. This bad boy was never completed before the bombs fell, so naturally it became one of the Calculator's pet projects. Now, if you're not familiar, the Calculator is a cyborg running the show over at Vault Zero, and it saw the Hellion as crucial to pacifying the region and protecting its precious vault dwellers. If finished, this thing would have been a VTOL aircraft that could hit speeds of over 400 miles per hour and pack 5 anti-tank bombs, 8 air-to-ground missiles, and dual 60mm cannons. Oh, and it guzzles JP-5 jet fuel with up to 8 hours of flight time, which is quite peculiar for a Fallout aircraft. And the design, it looks like what I wanted the Stingray Deluxe to be. Sleek, stealthy, not shaped like a boat pretending to fly. And it actually looks like it means business. Sure, we only get to see it from one single isometric angle, so there's a little mystery still baked in. But what we do get is enough to put a big ol' grin on my face. So yeah, I'm giving the Hellion a solid A tier, and honestly, with a bit more love and maybe a 3D model someday, this could absolutely become an S tier icon in the Fallout Vehicle Hall of Fame. Real talk, I really wanted this video to hit the magical 100 vehicle mark, but let's be honest, when you're cranking out that many entries you start digging pretty deep, like scraping the bottom of the barrel deep, which brings us to our next vehicle, the toy Nuka Truck from the opening of Fallout 3. Yeah, it's tiny, yeah, it's a toy, but hey, it's iconic, right? The bright cherry red paint job is instantly recognizable and it screams sugar-fueled capitalistic dream machine. What's actually kind of neat about this little guy is that it's not just a scaled down version of the regular truck models we see in game. The cab is more squared off and the cargo section looks like it's built into the body instead of just slapped on the back. That little design detail makes me think Nuka-Cola had its own specifically made delivery fleet. And honestly, that kind of tracks. If anyone in the pre-war world could afford custom vehicles for soda, it was definitely Nuka-Cola. So yeah, it's small, it's stylish, and it holds a surprising amount of lore weight for something you only see in the tutorial, really. I'm giving this little legend a B tier. It earns it. Listen up, I love this warbird and will absolutely throw hands with anyone who disagrees. I don't care that its appearance in the Fallout universe is basically just a historical concept. It's one of those classic World War II aircraft that just hits different, you know? Sleek, fast, iconic, it's basically the Tom Cruise of fighter planes. And yeah, I've been pretty tough on models that are just straight up lift and shifts from the real world, but I'm making an exception here. These two beauties hanging from the ceiling of Rivet City's museum in Fallout 3, they've earned their spot. I don't care if they're just set dressing, they're gorgeous. So with all that said, I'm giving the Mustang A tier, no hesitation. I'll admit it, I went back and forth on whether this one even counts as a vehicle. I mean, it's technically a robot, but it hauls cargo, flies around, and does vehicle-y things. So, hey, gray area or not, we're talking about it. Let's dive into the cargo bot. This little mechanical overachiever, I say little when this thing's actually quite big, was deployed in the late 2060s to handle recon and supply drops in the worst conditions imaginable. Think Amazon Prime, but for the apocalypse. It's a bit bigger than a Sentry bot, and sports 4 booster engines for flight along with 3 tentacle-like grabber arms that give it some serious sci-fi crab energy. But the part that really gets me? The eyes. Yep, it's got 2 big ol' Mr. Handy style peepers slapped on top of the chassis. And I swear it gives the whole thing a weirdly adorable face. Like a helpful flying bug that just wants to make your day better by delivering presents. Aesthetically, it's rocking a military gray paint job with just a hint of green. And yeah, I'd say it looks kind of like a mechanized Beetle. But honestly, I love it. It's got that perfect Fallout fusion of industrial design and personality. If this is what a drone delivery looks like in the future, sign me up. Cargobot is an easy A tier for me. We've made it to our final entry from Fallout Tactics, and it's a good one. Last but definitely not least, it's the tank. And yeah, let's just call this what it is. It's basically a straight up World War II M4 Sherman. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, haven't you been roasting other vehicles for being lazy real-world copies? And yeah, guilty as charged. But listen, this is a Sherman tank we're talking about. I just can't help myself. There's something timeless and iconic about that silhouette, the turret, the whole vibe. It's like a war machine equivalent of comfort food. So even though this thing is a one-to-one from history and probably shouldn't get a pass by my own rules, I'm giving it an A. Call it nostalgia, call it hypocrisy, call it what you want. But I love me a Sherman tank and I'm not afraid to admit it. What's yellow, has the strength of a behemoth, and is low to the ground. A skid loader, of course. The Fallout design of this vehicle doesn't stray far from the real-world mold. And in the way it does, it fails horribly. Check out that cabin and the complete and total lack of control mechanisms. What fun. D tier. Ah yes, the icon, the legend, the fusion fleet. Fallout's answer to the question, what if a shopping cart and gumball machine had a baby, and we powered it with nuclear energy? This little 3-wheeled wonder comes complete with a clear bubble canopy with just enough room for a single brave soul, and a dinky little basket on the back that might hold a couple of bottles of Nuka-Cola if you Tetris them in just right. Would I ever want to drive one? Absolutely not. But when it comes to style, memorability, and sheer Fallout flair, it's an easy A tier for me. And hey, if you want a full deep dive into the lore and real-world inspiration behind the Fusion Fleet, I've got a whole video waiting just for you. Go on, give it a spin. You won't regret it. New Vegas absolutely adored taking real-world vehicles and simply copy-pasting them into the Mojave with little to no modification. Understandable, I suppose, given their minuscule development time that they were allowed, but disappointing nonetheless. The cargo plane found at Camp McCarran is another such example, being a clear clone of the Douglas C-47 Skytrain. Although, as I guess is apparently somewhat of a Fallout staple, the wings have been trisected such that they can be folded up for storage purposes. I'll leave it at that for this video, but if you'd like to learn more about this beast of burden, check out my dedicated video. So without further ado, let's give this Skytrain knockoff a rating. Due to the lazy nature and the dismemberment of the wings that doesn't really convince me is functional, I'm going to land this plane solidly in D tier. My, look who's feeling rather silly for including the cement truck now. Imagine my surprise when capturing footage for the Delta IX rocket, walking right by a little number known as the Virgo 2. Yeah, just the lunar freaking lander that the deep range transmitter is salvaged from. This USSA spacecraft landed on the moon in 1969 and was crewed by Captain Richard Wade, Captain Mark Garris, and Captain Michael Hagan. All captains, a captain party, who became the first humans to walk on the moon. Interestingly enough, the Virgo 2 is actually an almost exact replica of the Soviet LK moon lander that was to be part of the Soyuz moon program that was eventually canceled. Also, fun fact, the LK was actually only capable of carrying one cosmonaut. Design-wise, the Soviets sure did a good job of making something quite funky looking that in all honesty does fit the Fallout vibe pretty dang well. I only really have two problems with it. One being that I don't think a Delta IX or any other rocket in the Fallout universe so far could actually, carry it into space. And two, being that it's a straight historical ripoff once again. That being said, I certainly didn't know that until researching it to include in this ranking list for you fine folks, so I won't dock it too hard on this account. In the end, the Virgo 2 gets a soft landing right in B tier, nestled comfortably in the Sea of Tranquility. Well, it certainly turns out that the Fallout universe has a lot of vehicles, and we just went through 101 of them, and it's certainly possible I could have missed a few, especially if we talk about concepts. Fallout 4 had a neat garbage truck concept as well as a truly glorious cruise ship that I didn't add to the list. With that being said, it's been almost 2 hours since we started, so I think it would be a capital idea to do a rapid recap of where things ended up shaking out before we wrap up. Let's go from worst to first and begin with the 10 vehicles that found their fortunes lie in F tier. The Goofy Golf Cart from New Vegas in '76, the Ozmandias tub with a propeller from Point Lookout, the Septic Tank turned Spy Submarine, also from Point Lookout, the Shameful Shuttle Bus from '76, the Dangerously Lazy USS Democracy from Far Harbor, the Boxy Terror, the USS Torres from Fallout 2, the Tragic Falling Star fighter craft of Rivet City, the Brutal BMW from Tactics, the Actually Not a jet ski from Fallout 76, and the Desecrated USS Constitution from Fallout 4 to round out the tier. Next up, in D tier, we have the 11 vehicles that could almost avoid getting grounded by their parents, leading off with the confusing Coupe from Fallout 3, the horribly designed APC from Tactics, the relic of the past, the Dutchess Gambit from Point Lookout, the laughably basic sedan from Fallout 3, the extreme wasted potential that is the Stingray Deluxe from Fallout 4, the street cleaning motorcycle from Fallout 3, the OSHA violation that is the Nuke Carrier from Tactics, the speedboat with wheels aka Scouter from Tactics, the rather basic monorail from New Vegas, the Bobcat clone of a skid loader from '76, and the poorly redesigned Skytrain cargo plane from New Vegas. In life, getting a C isn't so bad. Is it great? Well, no. But is it going to sink you? Also no. It's also the category that is really easy to throw things into that are just kinda, well, meh, which in a lot of ways can be the worst thing you can be. Food for thought. Now, without further ado, I invite the 19 vehicles that call this tier home out to walk the walk of mediocrity. A warm welcome to the forgettable fishing trawler from Fallout 4, the drag of a dragline from New Vegas, the retro REPCONN Rocket from New Vegas, the Forklift that is just fine from Fallout 4, the Failure in Branding that is the off-road vehicle from Fallout 76, the Pedestrian Pickup Truck from New Vegas, the Brutally Basic Boat from the 3D era as a whole, the Ho-Hum Hummer from Tactics, the Bummer of a Bumper Car from Nuka World in 76, the Tepid Train from New Vegas, Exasperating Excavator from New Vegas, Freeloading Front Loader from New Vegas, Sufficient Sailboat from 76, Jerry-Rig Jet Boat from 76, the Prop Plane with Jet Engines aka the Jet Plane from New Vegas, the Trifling Tricycle Bicycle Combo from Fallout 4 and 76, the paid content that is the Cement Truck from Fallout 76, which given I now know is paid content, I would love to drop down to F tier, but already made 101 timelines with it in C tier, so I guess it is what it is. The Handy Dandy Hand Cart, and finally the Copy Pasta Crane from New Vegas. Making your parents mildly proud, we have the B tier entries in the list. This tier is home to the most vehicles with a whopping 32 in total, making me think I might have been a little too generous with my grading. But oh well. Arriving first in this tier was the tried and true truck from Fallout 3. And then a newcomer from Fallout 76, the quick and dirty dirt bike, followed by the Zip microcar from Fallout 4, and then the winged terror that is the Atomic V8 from Fallout 4, the classy patrol car from New Vegas, the Lady in the Lake from Fallout New Vegas, the destroyed Wright Flyer from Fallout 3, the Hammerhead Street Cleaner from Fallout 3, the classically trained Biplane from Fallout 76, the Rough and Ready haul truck from 76, the trusty green giant that is the Tug Boat from Fallout 4, the lore-rich Death Car from New Vegas, the mighty Zeppelin from Fallout Tactics, the octagonal terror that is the Corvega Blitz from Fallout 4, the REPCONN Mini Rocket series from Fallout New Vegas that are randomly chilling at a gas station in the next town over on a corporate retreat of some kind, the large and in-charge coastal freighter from Fallout 4, the out-of-this-world Zetan Recon Craft Theta from Fallout 3, the charismatic and funky Combine from Fallout 4, the spherical pod of travel aka monorail pod from Fallout 76, the Pimp My Ride Dune Buggy Fallout Edition from Fallout Tactics, the Phoenix Arisen from the Ashes that is Valiant One's space station from Fallout 76, a Hermit Crab's favorite shell, the West Tech Hermit APC from Fallout 4, the bizarrely riveted Rivet City from Fallout 3, your father's highwayman of old from Fallout 2, the luxurious limousine from Fallout 76, the wacky but well-named Picker-Up from Fallout 4, the astounding mobile crawler from Broken Steel, the religious death trap called the ESS Quetzel from Fallout 2, the Cherry Classic Nuka Truck from Fallout 3 and on, the Visionary Virgo 2 Soviet Lander from Fallout 3. Boy howdy, that was a lot. We can't all be the best, but we can be pretty dang good, and A tier embodies that principle to a T. There are 21 vehicles that made this tier whose designers deserve a nice pat on the back for their efforts, starting with the Chrysalis Patton main battle tank that is really more of a self-propelled artillery piece from Fallout 4, the little atomic tractor at Could from Fallout 4, the immaculately detailed UFO from Fallout 4, the confusing and amusing Megaloader from Fallout 4, the futuristic flying car of the future from Fallout 76, the robot tank hybrid Chimera from Operation Anchorage, the iconic Cityliner from Fallout 3, the marvelous missile carrier from Fallout 4's opening cinematic that never got its time to shine, the van that is worthy of a whole box of Scooby snacks from Fallout 4, the shockingly sensible and aesthetic station wagon from Fallout 4, the Hurricane on Wheels that is the fire truck from Fallout 76, the mother of all motherships from Mothership Zeta, the Delta IX that took Mr. Pebbles to the stars from Fallout 3, the Lone Wanderer that is almost as cool as a crotch rocket from Fallout 4, the outrageous Cherry Bomb Sound Barrier Destroyer from Fallout 4, the twin fuselage heavy Chinese bomber from Operation Anchorage, the sleek and stealthy Helion from Fallout Tactics, the timeless classic that is the P-51 from Fallout 3, the Amazon cargo delivery bot of the future from Fallout 76, the World War II hit that was the Sherman from Fallout Tactics, and last but not least, the original iconic minicar, the Fusion Flea. Finally, we have the cream of the crop, the vehicles that deserve a bonus on top of their 3% yearly merit increase, the top 8 vehicles that achieve the lofty status of S tier. We have the Locomotive with rivets in all the right places and a scale that is certainly built to impress. The Thick Boy from Fallout 4. Followed up with the mechanical kraken that is the amazingly well-realized Yanksa from Fallout 4, Then there is the coolest concept in all of sci-fi lore, Power Armor, a person-sized, customizable mech. Need I say more? Then there's the biggest gun platform in town, the battleship envisioned for Fallout 4. It's a crying shame I can't say more. Then there is the most iconic vehicle from the Fallout franchise, next to Power Armor, the Osprey with an attitude, the dragonfly that thinks it's a dragon, the Vertibird. Next up is a modernized version of the rock-cutting beasts of old, a revival of that can-do spirit and a force of nature in itself, the Rockhound from Fallout 76. Coming into Boston from the Capital Wasteland, we have the Absolute Unit, that is the Prydwen airship from Fallout 4 and TV screens near you, assuming you pay for Prime, and who doesn't in this day and age. And finally, the premier skyliner of the Fallout universe and my headcanon strategic bomber of the future, the Stratorang from Fallout 4. And with that, it's high time I bring this video to a close. You fine folk have graciously given me so much of your time already. But before you go, if there are any vehicles from this list you'd like me to do a full episode on, or perhaps a different category or universe of tier list you'd like to see from yours truly, make sure to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for taking the time, however much or however little it was, to enjoy this video. See you in the next one. Spydingo out.